Everybody, welcome back to Maconi Entertainment and welcome back to the Friday Night Lights Xfinity Series. This is race number 12 of the 2025 season, coming to you tonight from Texas. My name is Ron Mullins. Alongside me in the commentary booth is Howie Burrows. Marty Zakal is our producer for tonight's broadcast, using cameras by Whiplash SimCams. To keep this season rolling, we come to the Lone Star State for a 203-lap long race. There's a lot at stakes for these drivers tonight, Howie, including that dash for cash. So what are you expecting out of this race here this evening?
Well, when I talk about Texas, I talk about loving it or hating it. It's not exactly the typical intermediate super speedway around there. It's very massive transitions onto the bank oval, and very, very difficult to keep that car pinned to the road, especially in these Xfinity cars. Probably the last track I did a long Xfinity race at, and I suffered quite hard against the wall. So everybody here, I very much hope I can keep their car underneath them throughout this race. It is certainly a challenge, and what a place to just stick such a vital round on.
Yeah, this is going to be a real fun race here. Rounding off the first 12, you can see the schedule we've had up to this point thus far this season kicked all the way off in mid-February at Daytona. Since then, we've had races at Atlanta, Circuit of the Americas, Phoenix, Las Vegas, Miami, Martinsville, Darlington, Bristol, Rockingham, Talladega, and Texas here on May the 2nd. So this is a racing action that we've had up to this point. And here's how it looks in reference to the point standings. Bryson Hixenball has been dominant up to this point, 4 wins already, and you can see the gap he has in those points. Adam Benefiel has 2 wins already. He's pretty quick. You can look at the likes of Joseph McWhorter, Hunter Truex, who won the Dash for Cash last time at Talladega, Jim Shoefield, Kirk Mills, one of our Maconi Entertainment colleagues, slotted in P5, Eric Wineland, Tanner Marty, Jordan Person, and Tim Phillips, rounding out your top 10 in the points as it stands at the present moment. Let's take a look at the starting grid, though, for this race here at Texas tonight. Adam Benefiel will start this race from the pole position. Eddie Rose set to join him on the front row. We have Matt White starting this race in third, Lucas Hoytsma in fourth. Hunter Truex yet again involved in that Dash for Cash discussion. More on that in a little bit. We'll start alongside Ralph Hutchinson. We have Noah Woods in P7, Cody Goza in P8, Mark Padgett in 9th, and Joe Rollins rounding out your top 10.
Further back, we have Kirk Mills and John Williams in P11 and 12. Eric Wineland next to Joseph McWhorter in 13th and 14th. Jim Schofield next to Robert Miller in front of Matthew Wheeler. Cliff Mullins, Ryan Strunk, and Richard Kleinman in 20th.
Then looking through the drivers outside of the top 20, the list continues on with Tanner Marty in the number 29 car starting this race in 21st. Dylan Chris will start alongside in P22. We have Dave Hoytsma starting this race in 23rd. In P24, it was a driver whose name I didn't catch before he moved on. It's Daniel Llewellyn, who won the opening race at Daytona, will start this race in P25. Michael Deitch will start in 26th. We have Aaron Jackson in 27th. Carlos Fonseca in P28. We have Jacob Simpson in 29th, and John K. Kelly rounding out our top 30.
Only a few to go. It's very, very packed grid today, as ever. Jeremy Clapper, Newell, Kyle Amon, Jason S. Taylor, Austin Evie, Tim Phillips, and Mason Lowry mark out the last few positions on our rows. We go back to 40, Steve Benjamin, Ken Ryan, Brian Workman, and Rory Collins. We got the big 40 here at Texas. It's going to be a packed grid. We'll see how long they can hang it around this track before it all starts kicking off. We have a long race with a stage built in.
And here are the stages. Here's a race breakdown. Stage race coming on lap 45 for the first one, and then 45 laps after that for the second. Speaking of 45, that is the pit road speed. Pit window looking to be a bit more than the stages. We have 3 green white checkered attempts, no fast repairs, and open setups allotted to these competitors in this race that we have coming up for you all this evening. That pace car making the turn to come down pit lane. The field now in the hands of our front row sitters, waiting for that green flag to come out, which it has now, and the drivers are on their way. And it's turn 1 over off turn number 1. Everyone wants to lead at the very start of this race. Let's see who's going to do it. Benefiel on the inside line, gang off to a flyer in the number 83 car. He's going to try and hold on to the race lead. The driver had 2 back-to-back wins in the earlier stages of this season at Martinsville and Darlington. Hasn't revisited victory lane in the weeks since. However, Benefiel off to a flyer.
Good getaway from the front row, and it looks like they're scrambling down behind. Some of the drivers almost going 3 wide all the way up the banks through turns 3 and 4. It's hardly been exactly clean and easy, but everybody has kept their car to themselves for now. going about 3 wide, almost just about as we look on board with the 5 here. It's kicking off just behind him. Everybody's scrambling for all the space they could possibly get here. This is sometimes known as a bit of a one-lane track if you want to be fast around the bottom. The banking's quite high and it's quite hard to stick to it, but everybody's had quite a good launch off the road now. It's going to be about managing that long run, I think, even this early.
And in the early stages of this race, it's actually White in the 10 car jumping up into the race lead, now pulling about a 2.5 tenth of a second gap between himself and Adam Benefield. So that has been a dream start for Matt White in that number 10 machine. Let's see how he'll be able to extend that lead or maybe lose it in the coming few stages of this race. So plenty of racing action left to go. Seeing some side-by-side racing going on involving Lucas Hoytsman. He is stuck on the inside of Hunter Truex in that number 71 car. Truex, your winner in the Dash for Cash last time at Talladega. These drivers chasing for $100 at the end of this race. Truex was able to get the job done with a P11 result in the number 71 car at Talladega 1 week ago. Lucas Hoytsman, meanwhile, he got his first win of this season 1 week ago at Talladega. He's looking to impress right now, currently slotted 5th.
There's always someone running a little bit higher than I'd expect, and that was Hunter Truex there. I'm surprised he sort of made that upper to mid lane his home, but he's slotted back in for now, and drivers have very much started to go single file to finish out this. I say finish out with 5 laps in, but you know, first stages come by quite quickly, so don't worry if the time ends up flying away from you as well. This is going to be a lot of drivers trying to hit their marks every single lap, especially with quite a punishing transition onto and off this quad oval. You really just want to make sure you've stuck it to the bottom, and if you're on the outside of someone, make sure that that move is done as soon as possible. We're seeing there the 8th car of Ralph Hutchinson 4 quite back on the outside lane. I think it isn't going to be the fastest around there today, and it's even trickier in these Xfinity stock cars.
Yeah, it's tough to try and keep it side by side around this racetrack. We saw right on the top of this show the last major reconfiguration coming at the 20-year anniversary of this track being in just 1997. And when that configuration changed back in 2017, for some it ruined the track. For others, it just created a different sort of challenge for this circuit. So it's always been a controversial track this year at Texas. Ever since it was introduced back in 1997, removed North Wilkesboro off of the schedule, and didn't really sit well with a lot of people. And as a NASCAR fan, there have been many interesting events that have gone down here. Even in the first race back in 1997, we slapped our line bike in victory lane. Lots of weird stuff is going on here at Texas. Expecting the same here tonight with these Xfinity cars. Like that side-by-side racing going on involving the 5 of Williams and the 73 of McWhorter. McWhorter's been pretty quick thus far this season. Yet to grab a win thus far, but he looks like he has a rocket ship. Still trying to get this move done to jump his way up to the top 5.
And McWhorter's +9 on that starting position, by far our biggest mover on the whole grid. He just seems to keep charging, seems to really be using his stuff very, very early on in this run. If he can keep that tire under him, he can claim some good points. That's McWhorter has jumped up into 4th now. He's only a few positions off the top, and this is someone that started in 14th just 9 laps ago. Very, very fast running. And it's going to be about that tire wear, but it doesn't even look like he's overdriving it that much to me. He just looks like he is fast here.
Yeah, it looks like that number 73 Camaro of Joseph McWhorter is a rocket ship. So let's see how it's going to track out between now and the end of this race. Only 10 laps into this 203-lap long race. It's still White in the race lead. Roseslide in P2. Hunter Truex rounding out your top 3. He is currently your top running of those Dash for Cash competitors. And that list obviously includes the number 71 of Truex off the back of that Dash for Cash win at Talladega 1 week ago. It also includes Jim Shoefield, the number 47. Tim Phillips in the 27, and Ken Ron in the other double 3 car. So let's see how things are going to work out with those Dash for Cash competitors, as Truex looking to get a move done for 2nd.
Looks like so much of the racing here is in sort of scaring someone up a lane. If you get yourself right under before entry in that tri-oval, you sort of tell them, like, I'm going to be there whether you like it or not, and you're going to have to get out of the way. That was very much sort of the sort of Eddie Rose forcing himself up after seeing what's going to happen. I think McWhorter might do the same now. Going side by side, that's just 2 positions lost in a lap, very much, to just missing that bottom lane. So McWhorter now in 3rd after an incredible charge through. It's White over Truex over McWhorter, with Eddie Rose having gone nowhere but back since the start.
Yeah, this is not a good run as it stands presently for him. Let's see, though. We still have a lot of time left in this race. And hey, with the way these cars run around this racetrack, we may end up seeing a lot of comers and goers in this race. At one point in time, these drivers may be struggling and just dancing around this racetrack, trying to find any way to get around here without spinning out. Then other times, your car may feel like a rocket ship. It'll feel like it'll pick up about 15 quintillion pounds of downforce, and you could go through some of these corners and just absolutely haul the mail heading off through some of these corners. These drivers still side by side. Holy cow. You can see Lucas Hoytsma trying to get some moves done in that number 97 car. He's been quick thus far this season. The fact he only has 1 win is a shock, and the fact that 1 win came at Talladega, of all places, a true wild card to end all wild cards, is a bit of a shock as well. But that number 97 car has some speed.
Indeed he has, and it felt good being there for that win, I'll definitely say that. But he's got a very, very long race to play, as behind we're almost 3 wide with 47. Trying to stick it to the bottom, not quite getting the speed. Drafty car being stuck up to the top lane. I mean, yeah, it was good being there, and it was good being a part of that experience, but he did it over a very, very long race, and it really, really took him a long time to come into his own. Now he's back in the intermediate zone. No more of what some call the gimmicks of Talladega to play your own. I think he may get a better position than what he's sitting at right now, as we do potentially stick it 3 wide, right up through the middle. The 89 here sorry, I'm losing my 6. Yeah, no words. Losing his mind and potentially losing out the track to the car on the outside as well. The 47 might just stick himself up on the inside and make it even more lost here.
And that is Schofield in that number 47 car, trying to get moved under 2 by 2, heading off through turn number 2. Contact being made with the 87. Let's see how this drag race is going to work out between those 2 supers. It's going to result in them single filing out. The 34 slipping right behind in tow. Look at the 68. He's now got that number 47 of Schofield on the inside of him. Look at the 06 of Matthew Boston Wheeler as well, maybe trying to get some moves done as well. Some drivers scraping the wall as well, coming out of 3 and 4. Now we saw in the past here at Texas that sometimes 3 and 4 can be a super tough challenge. You got some bumps around here. Despite the fact this track was last paved back in 2017, it's a little bit of a ripply surface. Those bumps can affect these cars pretty badly. You may end up seeing that play a factor in this race.
Especially in these quite low grip cars. There's certainly no Cup Series car with their underfloor and diffuser. Instead, you have a very traditional stock car experience with a little bit less power, and that often leads to the car just having to slide its way up or just go the wrong way up and around the track. I've been a victim at plenty of times to the wall, especially just as it juts right out at you coming out of turn 1 and 2, and then once again at 3 and 4. Outside line on that quad over is especially nasty. It's a very, very tight quad over, and it just comes right at you. So if you're trying to pass someone on the outside, you just get struck by the wall time and time again, and eventually you learn you have to keep it low to get anything done here. Miller is just trying to hold off Mills for now, as we saw Mills not quite getting to the inside, but every time it looked like it was a possibility. Third front, Truex not quite making up a gap on Matt White, and I think McWhorter, I don't know if he's done or if he's going to try and do it again. He is certainly hanging far lower than Truex onto entry, but he's not scaring him off quite yet.
Drivers running all throughout this field. This is the number 15 of Miller, currently slotted in P9 as it stands at the present moment, looking to build a gap to himself and Lucas Hoytsma. It's about 0.4 of a second between those 2 cars running at your top 10 presently, and you can just barely see the leaders a little bit farther up the road. This pack is still rather close, and despite the fact he's been able to take the race lead and hold on to it for quite some time, Matt White in that number 10 Camaro still not terribly far in front of Truex. Looking at a driver trying to get a little bit farther back Not sure who that is. That's the 07. Very slow, heading off through the infield. Something's going on with Lawal, and he's already 1 lap down, so not sure what the deal is with the driver of the 07 car. But nonetheless, getting back to the point that I was going to raise, Matt White hasn't really been able to break away from anybody, but this may be a shot as McWhorter's starting a battle with Truel. This is a battle for P2, and it's going to allow White to try and break away with the 73 jumping into second.
Now halfway through the stage, McWhorter's making his intentions clear. He wants to win the whole thing. I really am starting to think he might have the tyre life to even keep this pace up throughout, and there's only one more place he'd have to make up to be leading it, although Matt White's been pretty fast out of the gate. McWhorter's just either he's got incredible talent or he's got incredible recklessness to be willing to charge this hard this early. Either way, it makes for a real thrill at the front of the grid, and we're seeing more passing at Texas than I would have expected already 23 laps in, but gotta have a certain temperament to make these happen.
I gotta say, I think, Howie, the correct technical term is cojones. Having the cojones to get some moves done here at Texas in the early stages. It's the right time to pounce, though. Around a track like this, even with practice, qualifying, warm-up, all of that, you still need to just get your foot in one of these races. Let's look at this pack. Holy cow, heading down into 3 and 4. It's 5 cars, 6 cars covered by just about nothing coming at the turn. You can see Matthew Boston Wheeler involved in all that. He's slotted in P14, but this is absolute madness side by side between Fritz and Woods, heading off down into turn number 1 and 2 right now. Let's see if Wheeler's maybe going to take a run in the 06 car. We ride on board with them. Coming at turn number 1 and 2, you can see the massive run from the 34 car on the high side coming onto that back stretch. He's got a single pile out for now, keyword being for now.
Boston Wheeler just about missed the bottom of the track, and there's a bit of wobbling with the 47 right next to him. Tim Schofield could have had a bit of an accident into the wall, but got away with it this time, and I'm sure he's going to hope his pants remain unsoiled and give that one another shot. This time Wheeler sticking better to the bottom outside of the track and forcing the 47 up to a higher side. A lot of this race seems to be about how well you can actually get to that bottom and stay there. Obviously, forcing the wheel to do it too much is going to wreck your tires, but if you could hug that car down there, you're basically not being passed around here. And if you leave a gap, the most ambitious drivers aren't taking them side by side racing. Elsewhere on the grid, the 97 on the bottom of the track, holding the 8 up top. This is between Hutchinson and Hoytsma, who you've identified the ladder is very, very fast, and he has been climbing a little bit already. He wasn't able to make that pass work.
Yeah, Hoytsma still dealing with those same old Texas troubles that everyone is, but look at that. He's going to get caught out a little bit by the slowing 8 car of Hutchinson, who had a terrible run heading off through 3 and 4. That's allowing that gap to build up between Miller in the 15 and Hutchinson in the 8. You can see it has ballooned out quite a lot. It's now about a second between P7 and P8 in this race. As this race develops, we are going to start to see those gaps begin to form. Adam Benefield in the number 83 car has pounced on the 71 of Hunter Truel. He looked to have the pace in the earlier stages, but Truel has since dropped back like a rock. Benefield, meanwhile, he started at the front, then dropped down like a rock. Now he's coming back to his own. That game of yin-yang with these drivers and their pace here at Texas definitely on full display.
And we've had a very, very clean and very, very measured first stage. If I say too much, I might be in big trouble and might cause the pack some big trouble, but we haven't really seen any big accidents. Any major contact probably happened somewhere on the grid, some minor contact, but no one's really gone around or back. We certainly haven't had the dreaded caution flag. One of them is due in about 17 laps, no matter what, as the lap finishes at the end of stage finishes at the end of lap 45. That's how the words work, one after another. There's Robert Miller, another hard charger, up 11 places and still going as he gets around the inside of Hunter Truel.
These drivers still looking to get some moves done, but as you said, Howie, a lot of time left to go in this race. A decent amount of time left to go in this stage as well. 45 laps in all the second stage break coming on lap 90, and then we'll have a flat-out 113 lap blast all the way through to the checkered flag. 113 laps was the entirety of the amount of laps for the Talladega race 1 week ago, so that's going to be a hard charge right to the end. If we go green throughout the entirety of that, keyword being if, we will have to see some pit stops. And speaking of that pit strategy here, Howie, do you think any of these drivers are going to think, you know what, it's a little bit difficult to get some moves done here without breaking the elbows out. I want to keep my car clean, so I'm going to try and get some moves done through strategy and strategy alone.
Well, that'll really be safe for the third stage, I think. We certainly not a great idea to stop at the end of this one before it ends and transfers over. I think we're going to see 2 single runs. That third one, if the racing keeps staying like this, and very much drivers, I think they could do it on fuel and tyres. We're starting to string out quite heavily now, which means we are starting to sort of lose that capability to chase someone down and get around them, unless you're going to charge so hard you want to use up your stuff for the next lifetime. At front, White and McWhorter are within battling range, but behind them, drivers are just in a different planet at this point. As you can see, just by looking at the gaps around you on the track here, as we take a look at the 03 running, that very much drivers have just settled into their own pace now, and there's only going to be a little more room for these battles here as we approach this first stage's conclusion.
And it has been a clean start to this race. The first 32 coming to 33 laps of this race has been run clean. And for Matt White at the front of this field, he has been able to hold on to the race lead for a decent chunk of it. Some racing still going on all throughout this field. As then I believe there's a driver coming down pit lane, an early call to pit nonetheless. Maybe trying to decide, you know what, in these first 90 laps, I want to try and get myself a good spot for the start of the final stage. Come into the pits, kind of sacrifice this run in stage 1, and then have a bit of difficulty getting to the end of stage 2, but if you can make it there, you are going to be golden and set yourself up perfectly for the end of this race. Of course, a lot of these drivers, they're looking to punch their way into the playoffs, and to do that, they are going to try and stop at no ends imaginable. Now on lap 34, coming to 35 soon. Only 10 laps left here in stage 1, and for White in that number 10 car, it has been a pretty good start for him. Yet to grab a win thus far this season, but neither has the 73 of Joseph McWhorter. They have to deal with some lap traffic though, which may bring these two back close up.
Yeah, that pit stop was Daniel Llewellyn, and I'm not quite sure on the strategy, because now he's put himself 3 laps down on the lead, where he's only going to get 1 back under the next caution that is due now, as is the nature of the stage racing. And from that point onwards, you have to expect more cautions to get those laps back and hope it works. There could have been some damage maybe inflicted from the wall that just made him realize, no, I'm not driving like this. I'm just going to have to eat this and work out what to do from that point onwards. Anyway, eyes are all forward to some of these battles up near the front to finish out this stage. McWhorter has dropped back quite a bit off White, but Benefield's on his rear again to try and make this one work out. On board right now with 77, who also has a battle and charge of his own lined up. This is the 46. I'm being told I can't count. Indeed, it is the 46. Yellow car's same in my head. That's Eddie Rose behind Robert Miller, who's done a lot of climbing up the pack, but now there's 3 tenths between him and the car in front. I'm not sure if they're due to make this battle happen yet, but now is where the tyre wear's going to start really counting. We're going to see in this top pack of drivers who has been saving their stuff effectively. Joseph McWhorter, very, very close here to P3.
That's exactly what the end of this stage is going to look like, Howie. Who's been able to dance with their tires, run that line, and not be able to wear them down to the canvas? You'll see those drivers with the grip, and you'll see the other ones who maybe put a bit more wear and tear on their rubber dancing around this track like no tomorrow. So we may end up seeing some drivers running a little bit farther up towards the front drop down in the final few laps of this first stage. And we've already seen a lot of comers and goers. I think no driver displays that more than Adam Benefield. He's slotted in third at the present moment. At one point, he was up at the front, started from the pole, then started to drop down, and then he's actually made his way back up. I think he's played that tire wear game perfectly. Meanwhile, for the 71 of Hunter Truex, hasn't really been able to run into some difficulty. There's Truex, as you see right now, heading on to the trioval right now. 71 car, he's been quick in the early stages. Again, as he said, Howie, the tire management going to be super important here at Texas.
This is the car I thought it was, and in like my double genius, it's also a 71 and it's not a 77. So that's like two wrongs make a bigger wrong. Not being a great stage for him, -5 from where he started, but still in line to pick up a stage point at the end of proceedings. If he's able to keep that position with 1.6 to Noah Woods behind, should be pretty possible unless there's a major mistake. Back up at the front, and McWater's looking slower than he used to be as he slide jobs Benefield up the road. I think Benefield has the pace to make this pass happen, but the 73 has been very good at sticking to the bottom of the track, and if you stick to that line well enough for the next 5 laps, you're not getting past. Around the outside here at Texas, this is going to be the duel to determine this P2 in the stage. Only really 1 point in it, but it's nice to have that position in a very long championship.
A little bit farther up the road, White has completely checked out, but McWhorter, he's shown some pace too, but it may not be enough. Benefield looking for a move down the inside into 3 and 4. Let's see that 83 car clearing him with not much of a challenge from the 73 of McWhorter, it must be said. I think McWhorter, as much as he's yet to grab a win thus far this season, he's in it for the points. He's had a pretty good season up to this point when it comes to that points discussion. I mean, when it comes to the regular season, he entered this race second, I believe, in those point standings. 73 car, really been the best of the non-winners up to this point, but I feel like that win is slightly overdue. Let's see if Texas is going to be the race to get the job done.
The long race ahead, and all three of these top drivers have shown they're very much capable of doing it if the rest of this race goes their way. On this run, we have found that McWhorter, for all of his striking pace early, kind of now has lost that tyre life. He did put a lot into them, and I mean, there's a tiny chance that his P3 is up for threats, to be honest. I wouldn't be shocked. Is Wineland trying to hold off Boston Wheeler on the bottom a little bit? It looked like contact from the front, but I think it was just a slide from the rear, self-inflicted, but he's washed all the way up the track, and Matthew Boston Wheeler now easily claims at that bottom lane. He doesn't have the pace, though, and it's going to slide all the way down to the bottom. Doesn't matter about using your tyres too much now, only 1 lap to go in this stage. That was a little bit dicey. That was a little bit scary. Almost looked like it could have been lethal, but I thought we'll be ending this stage on schedule in a lap's time.
It looks like we're going to end it rather well, but as we jump up to the front of the field, Matt White hasn't put a foot wrong in this first stage. He got the race lead from Adam Benefield, who's now slotted P2. You could just see him barely as they head their way off through the tri-oval for the last lap in stage 1. White jumped up to the race lead in the early stages. I believe it was either lap 2 or 3 that he was able to get the lead. He started this race in 3rd, but that 10 Camaro has been on rails in this first stage. Just has one more section of this track left to go through 3 and 4 for the final time in stage 1. Matt White looking to get the stage victory, and as he comes out of turn number 4, that green and white checkered flag is going to be in the air for him, and there it is. White going to win at stage 1. Benefield slotted P2, McWhorter in 3rd, Miller, Rose, Williams, Hoysma, Hutchinson, Paget, and Truex rounding out your top 10 at the end of this stage. There's the caution, and there is your stage 1 winner. And with stage 1 out of the way, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with these messages.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back, everybody, to this evening's coverage of the Friday Night Lights Xfinity Series. Coming back right in time for the first round of pit stops. There's the number 10 of Matt White. He won that opening stage, and let's see how it shakes out in the first series of pit stops in this race. It's myself, Ron Mullins, and Howie Burrows on the call for tonight's broadcast. Marty Zakala is our producer for tonight's stream, using cameras with Whiplash SimCams. But let's see how this first round of stops comes out here.
Everybody looks like they've just about hit their box quite well. For some reason, we can see one of the pit crews hard at work, and we'll just assume the other ones are working just as hard further back on that row as drivers start flying out their box. Didn't see any major miscalculations. It looks to me like Benefiel has just beaten out McWhorter over Robert Miller, so it's going to be a very similar top three to how we started that stage. But they had to go 3 wide on pit exit, and Benefiel had to hit the bottom just to try and win that battle.
But the battle of the pits is going to be won by Adam Benefiel in the number 83 car. Joseph McWhorter comes out right behind him, P2. And there's Miller in the number 15 car. He had an okay stage 1, but it was nothing really to blow his socks off. But that is how it shakes out here under this first pit cycle. And we'll be right back for the restarts.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need: Maconi.
With the launch of Maconi Entertainment and Maconi Competizone alongside Maconi Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at MaconiSetupShop.com/subscriptions.
And remember, at Maconi Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
Back for the restart here at Texas. It's Adam Benefiel in P1. McWhorter set to join him on the front row for this restart. Howie, this is going to be a fun second stage.
We saw a lot more racing than I usually expect around Texas Motor Speedway here, and we saw a lot of charging from drivers near the back, pushing hard and making it work. Now, this stage is going to kind of be a bit shorter than the last one if you consider the fact that we have this quite long caution in between. Going to have about 5 fewer to run around the track, and I think it could benefit McWhorter quite a lot more, who pushed very, very hard, but kind of pushed out those tires. Benefiel, he did run a good battle as well, though, and I think we're going to start seeing this explode from the start. We've not seen any natural cautions under racing. I don't think that'll last forever around here if drivers start getting feisty or aggressive. The pace car ready to pull in for this restart.
Yeah, and let's see how this second stage goes. It's going to end on lap 90. It's going to start on lap 50 of this 203-lap-long race. The first restart of the day, and the green flag is back at it yet again. Adam Benefiel at the front, as he did at the drop of the green flag. Let's see how the second stage works out for him. We saw him drop down a little bit farther back in the start of stage 1. So here at the start of stage 2, let's see if it's a case of the same. But looking at these drivers go side by side and scraping the wall coming out of 1 and 2 as well.
I'm really impressed by the launch and, in fact, the pit stop here of Robert Miller, who wasn't in the competition for these top 3. It's that's the 97 of Lucas Hoitzma in the wall twice in a single lap. Neither that hard, but they're going to kill all the momentum that was once had along the way. Anyway, as I was saying, Miller was a bit of an unsung underdog last stage. We saw him running around the track. We didn't really comment nearly as much, and he had a great restart. That gap, though, to McWhorter already building out. He's really going to have to hold his steel quite a bit over the next few laps to keep this position in place. On board with Miller now. It's about 3/10 of a second. As behind, it's just absolute scrambling for all the space on the track. This is nothing like a good old intermediate restart of the Xfinity cars. As McWhorter all over the rear quarter of Adam Benefiel. He could stick it up the inside here. There is the pace. We can see the run develop. That wall aero dragged Benefiel down, and that's given us a new race leader for this second stage.
Joseph McWhorter in the number 73 car has had a rocket ship thus far in the first 53 laps. Let's see how it's going to work out for the rest of this race. So that 73 car has some speed for now, jumps into the race lead. Benefield still within striking distance as well. You can see the pack behind, some side-by-side racing going to flare up, involving the number 97 of Lucas Hoytsma. He's trying to make something work on the outside of Ralph Hutchinson, the 8 machine. Let's see how that'll work out down into 3 and 4. But a dream start for McWhorter. Started a little bit farther in the back, but ever since the drop of the green flag, he's been a man on a mission, as now pulling a quarter of a second gap to himself and Benefield as more racing going on behind.
This is that early stage phase where everybody is just trying to push and bully everyone around. The 8 quite far up the track and being a little bit run around by the car behind as well. Another driver that's come up quite a few positions who we didn't really see much of in the first stage. Dylan Kritz started 14 places down, is now in 7th on this stage. So we might end up talking more about him later on in this race as it developed. Didn't really see much of him to begin with, as we see just massive rows of 2-wide scrambling and gaps in between for people to send it free if they're really brave enough this early. And big slide job in the way of Ralph Hutchinson. Just about gets away with it, but you are going to have to be a bit too careful about using the rear of your car too judiciously around here.
That is a dangerous game to play, but these drivers are still going to be playing with it with all they can. As much as it may be a rough one, it is still that opportunity to grab some spots going to be super vital to these drivers. Hoytsma looking on the outside. He has a rocket ship in that number 97 car one last time out at Talladega, and also took the checkered flag at Bristol. However, after post-race penalties, the win was given to Bryson Hicks, involved the driver who's already driving 4 wins up to this point in the season. Haven't seen him yet. Keyword being, I have a feeling we're going to have to talk about the driver who's been very dominant thus far this season at some point in this race. Scraping 190 and looking for a move around the outside of Joseph McWhorter through turn number 1 and 2. Will he stick it? Will he have that run? Will he have the momentum down that back stretch? McWhorter holding his own on that inside, but it was on the outside where he took the race lead, and maybe on the outside where he loses the race lead. Hoytsma still holding his own in that Bushmobile in the number 97. Let's see, contact nearly coming out of turn number 4, but he's still holding his own on that outside line. McWhorter had to have the faith of a lifetime to pull in front of the number 97. He's getting a nose out in front though, heading off through turn number 1 and 2, holding it on, and he gets the move done.
So hard around this track to actually get that move done on the outside. It took a few attempts, but that's Hoytsma back in the lead. Almost feels like it's where he feels like he belongs. Didn't have the fastest start to the stage. You saw him in the wall twice, and it really hasn't mattered. Further back, the scrambling hasn't stopped. 71 with a little bit of contact there. Smoke blowing up and lost all sorts of pace on that middle line of the track. He's just going to, I mean, we're seeing so many close calls here. Drivers that are keeping it just about together, but risking a big wreck. And you can see a bit further back, the driver that started on P3 at this stage. Is it that number 15? Or are they running the same design? It's actually hard to tell whether he's dropped a million miles off. It's Miller. Some of these cars look very, very similar up here at the front of this pack. It looked like he was the guy that started up front and dropped that far, and I would have thought that's quite a significant drop of pace, but he's still lower than where he was running at last stage.
And as we continue to see this racing go on, Hunter Trull is still your leader of the Dash for Cash competitors, and it's a pretty significant margin that he has as well. It was the number 71 of Hunter Trull that took that $100 prize at the last race at Talladega. Finished P11, top of those Dash for Cash competitors. There's another Dash for Cash race here at Texas, and he is the leader of those cars, currently slotted in P8. You have to go a little bit farther back to find the number 47 of Jim Shoefield. He is running pretty farther back as it stands at the present moment. Ken Ron and the number 27 of Tim Phillips, they're in 36th and 37th respectively. So it's looking good for Trull in the number 71 car. Even though he's dropping down, he would still be grabbing a $100 paycheck at the end of this race.
We're a long, long race away. His priority right now has got to be to keeping that car together in one piece. Don't push too hard for that dash of gas before even the halfway mark, before even that second stage ends. Up front, McWhorter and Hoytsma are on a different planet. Dylan Kritz is miles back, and I think McWhorter's going to go for it again. I think we're going to see a battle for the top two for this entire stage, traded back and forth. McWhorter's so good at sticking it to that bottom and leaving the car there. Hoytsma was able to make it work around the outside last time around. I'm not quite sure if he'll be able to make this pass done anytime soon, but I think they'll be trading back and forth before the end of this stage. Huge melees, too wide on too wide on too wide. Further back on the road, there's another bump into the wall. Ralph Hutchinson there. I can just hear you recoil in horror when you see that.
Yeah, I'm starting to see these drivers make those wall taps and wall scrapes and wall hits a bit more of a common occurrence. These drivers are struggling with the grip, and they're starting to struggle with this track as well. We've had a clean ride up to this point. The only yellow we've had was for the stage break on lap 45 for that first stage, and touching back on that first stage and looking well farther in the back. Matt White, our stage 1 winner, is slotted all the way down in 21st. Hey, it shows you how quickly things can change in some of these races. With some more racing going on in the 47 and the 8 side by side heading off through here. The 47, really the only driver who can challenge Hunter Truex. And as I said not terribly long ago, he was a little bit farther behind when it came to that Dash for Cash discussion. Still second of those competitors. But now you can see the 71 and the 47 running nose to tail coming out 3 and 4.
Every position counts, and we're all here for some good, fun racing indeed. I've just noticed Adam Benefield has jumped up over Kritz for the P3, so Dylan Kritz could be the one dropping back on pace here over time. We have to keep an eye. Whoa, that's Kritz off the wall, and just about saving it again. This race has been a saver-blueser, but it's also a positions lost-a-blueser for Kritz now. P6 all the way from up where he was, and he's going to put some serious work and burn a lot of tire to earn that back.
Still some close quarter stuff. No damage on that race car, so no harm, no foul. But at the front of the field, McWhorter trying to give a challenge to Hoytsma. They're side by side, hang down the backstretch, off into turn number 3 and 4. How's it going to work out for the 73? How's it going to work out for the number 97? This is still a battle of the tines. And look at Adam Benefield. He's about 0.8 of a second back of these two. But if they start to battle, they're going to drag each other down like they have anvils attached to their ankle. So this may end up turning into a 3-car battle if these drivers don't get sorted out soon. McWhorter going to jump into the race lead with a good head of speed heading down the inside of 1 and 2. McWhorter back at the front.
Well, if anyone's going to make this a 3-car battle, it's going to be Benefield. He could, in fact, be inevitable. The gap was 1 second before, and so now it's looking a little bit more like half a second to the car up in front, and then behind to Williams, it's a million miles back. So Benefield sees only these 2 cars in front, no pressure from behind at all. He's going to have a fun chase, and we'll keep an eye on that as the stage goes on. We're 3 wide further back. Noah Woods giving a little bump to the back of Mark Paget, getting away with it, but I think we're seeing a bit more contact and a few more scares as we're on lap 69. Give it up. This stage flies on by when it's a little bit shorter, and we're seeing much more aggressive racing.
Yeah, these drivers breaking the elbows out and hitting the wall still. I feel like we're getting to the point where this race is getting to that stage where it's starting to maybe boil over. Look at the 34, scraping the wall again, heading off through 1 and 2. Something is amiss with that race car. You can see Dylan Kritz has dropped down like a rock over the past couple of stages. He's going to dive down to the inside. I think he's coming in for a pit stop. You can see the flames shooting out of the exhaust on the right side of that race car. This is certainly going to be a stop for the 34. I wonder if he picked up some damage. He knocked the wall down pretty bad coming out of 3 and 4. And as much as these cars may be tough, they're not that tough.
I can see that right front looking a little bit misaligned, and when the right front is screwed, all your driving screwed for the rest of the race. You lose more tire wear as it goes on. It just becomes slowly less and less drivable. And I would disagree with you on one thing. I wouldn't call these Xfinity cars tough. The next gens have a reputation for it, but these cars are unique in that they kind of just crumple apart when looked at wrong. And actually, he has just driven through the pit and left. So possibly a drive-through penalty or something. It wouldn't have been manually assigned as a cause of caution. So I'm a little bit confused. There has been a yellow.
Yeah, we've got caution coming at, and this is a first one for incident. It may have been the number 87 of Eric Wineland in that drafty car running very high, heading off to 3 and 4. Something must have gone on with that driver, and I wonder if that yellow came out right as we saw that number 34 come into the pits, and he just had to drive through to avoid picking up any sort of penalty. Let's take a look at it. Oh, it's big contact heading off to the tri-oval with himself. I believe that's the yeah, you can see the 03 car involved in all of that, and Wineland with a wild ride. He nearly saved it about 3 times, but eventually taps that inside wall.
I just cringed when I saw that 03 car, because I think he just passed by the pit exit line. I've done this literally last week in an official. And if you pass by that pit exit line the way he did, you will be struck with penalties. Same there. That counts as an unsafe pit entry and a speeding in the pit lane for you, and basically ends your race even if you're not damaged. We'll see how long they hang it in the lane. It depends. I can't see the penalties, but that can happen in iRacing. Big pit stop chain up, drivers using this chance to just get their pit stops done as we approach the final stage, because that final stage is going to be where we start seeing pit strategy play out. Matt White and Adam Benefield stay out as P1 and 2 on the old tyres, whereas Joseph McWhorter, Adam Benefield comes out pits in front of Joseph McWhorter. It's only Matt White that stayed out of the pit lane. So he looks like he wants to claim the second stage again on the old rubber. Meanwhile, the battle off pit road, it's Benefield over McWhorter again.
And the number 10 car of White probably going to be running around this track like a declawed cat trying to climb up an igloo on this restart. But hey, we'll just have to wait and see. Gotta take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with the restart.
Aren't you sick of making double cheeseburgers by now? Lincoln Tech, the end of the dead end.
A thriving job market and low cost of living, plus a wide range of veteran benefits, make Indiana the perfect place for veterans of the United States military to call home. InVets can help you find that home. We're an organization started by veterans to help former service members transition to civilian life in our state. InVets can help you find the community with the career opportunities, housing, schools, and amenities that fit your lifestyle. To learn more about InVets, visit us at invets.org today.
Back for the restart here at Texas for the 12th race of this Friday Night Lights Xfinity Series season. It's Matt White, your stage 1 winner, back up at the front. He's on all tires, though. He stayed out on this yellow flag period. The second of this race and the first one for incident, and it comes a tick over 70 laps into it here. 203 laps in all, and 90 laps will be the end of this second stage. And let's see how it's going to shake out. How is that 10 car going to manage this restart with some old tires? We'll just have to wait and see. That pace car making that turn to come back down pit lane. The field now in the hands of our front row sitters. The flagman has the green flag in the air, and we are back racing here at Texas. The 10 car getting a pretty good restart on that inside line, not spinning the wheels, getting off to a flyer. He was able to gun it and go. Meanwhile, the 73 and the 83 of McWhorter and Benefield side by side, as a 46 is battling with the number 97. But here comes the pack. That 10 car gonna get chewed up and spat at down this back straightaway as contact, big hit into that outside wall. I think that may have just brought a yellow out.
Now we're going to get the caution breed caution sort of gameplay that we're used to on these big restarts. I think Matt White was just about safe by the bell, and I want to know how he plans on running that next restart, because that was pretty dicey and pretty scary for him. He just about stays in front. Behind, it's a scramble, isn't it? Everyone on fresh tires, everybody with just basically no laps to go. That's just what's going to happen.
We're going to try and rack up this replay to figure out what in the world happened. It looked like a lot of drivers having a difficulty heading off down into turns number 1 and 2. It's either going 3 wide under the yellow flag. So we'll look to try and figure out what brought this yellow out. It was definitely a big bit of wall contact coming out of turn number 1 and 2, right towards the end of that we caught on camera. This was the moment that brought out the first yellow of this race, and that's what really kicked off this potential green-yellow cycle. We'll take a commercial break and try and figure out what exactly has brought out the second incident-ridden yellow of this race.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Back again here on Maconi Entertainment for the Friday Night Lights Xfinity Series. You can see that's what brought the yellow out. A pretty big whack to the side, the number 27 of Tim Phillips. He entered this race as one of those drivers involved in that Dash for Cash pack. However, not going to work out well for him. That number 27 car is down pit lane with a pretty significant amount of damage on that race car as well.
Having a few.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need: Maconi.
With the launch of Maconi Entertainment and Maconi Competizone alongside Maconi Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at MaconiSetupShop.com/.
And we're back again here at Maconi Entertainment, and look at this, Howie, the 10 car, Matt White, our stage 1 winner, coming down the pits right towards the end of stage 2.
I think he saw the writing on the wall and might choose to set himself up quite well for this third stage. If there's only a few laps left to go, everyone else is going to stop. He'll be on a slight tyre disadvantage, but that third stage is long enough that you start making the tyre strategy work out in the long run. You're going to have to need to refuel, so it sort of makes sense to get that stop done early, lead that third stage, and then just play it by ear, especially if you're good at managing on long run. This will swap out Benefiel and McWhorter, though, to the front row for a very, very quick dash to the line. And there's going to be very, very few laps to score those points. Not many different in scoring that 1 and 2, but every point counts in a season this congested.
And it's a pretty congested race here at Texas. 40 drivers were slotted to take the green. I believe only 39 actually started this race, and a few have dropped out because of incidents. As you can see, that right there is the 03 of Austin Evie. We saw him involved in that first yellow, the first yellow for incident, I should say, that took place some 15-ish minutes ago, 15 laps ago, give or take, and you can see him slow on the apron. He's already come into the pits 5 times in this race, so I think a lot of these drivers will be happy to see the back end of Texas when they leave it here tonight. And look ahead to the next race of this season in a couple of weeks' time. It'll be at Charlotte. You can see all the coverage there. It'll start at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and actually I believe it's Eastern Daylight Time, just Eastern Time, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time on May 23rd. That will be a brilliant race at Charlotte, 300 miles or 200 laps, right about the same distance of the racing that we're gonna have here at Texas this evening. And haven't even hit the halfway mark of this race, haven't even hit the end of stage number 2, Howie. We're expecting a restart that's maybe a bit more more tame than last one. We hope and we pray.
Are you expecting? I'm expecting a knives out gunfight, but I'm really glad that you've got some
Glass half
optimism
full.
left in you. You know, some feeling this might end well. You can suit yourself on that. Charlotte's an all-time classic, but it really is a bit of a long-run tire shredder. Very different character of race than what we've seen here, as I think we're going to keep going and staying elbows out as the pace car is ready to pull in for the restart. I'll leave that with you.
And let's see how this restart is going to shake out. Should be noted as we come to this restart, dealing with some slight technical issues with the scoring pylon. We'll get that squared away here in a couple of moments, as there's the restart. The 83 of Benefield getting off to a flyer. The number 97 of Lucas Hoytsman getting off to a good restart as well. Look at the number 73. He's off to a good one as well. Joseph McWhorter has had a rocket ship of a race car, but this may be the biggest challenge he's had in quite some time. Currently slotted in third, and look at that. It's going to be a side-by-side fight with himself heading down that back straightaway. Let's see how it'll shake out. You can see oh so close to coming to blows with himself in the number 22. Bit of a sideways snap off through the corner, but he saved it, Howie. Not sure how he did that.
It's very rare for that 73 to actually lose the bottom lane, and you see the damage it does. He could even lose out to the 15 just behind, and there's almost no space to take that spot back on the road. He's going to really need to almost like drop back and clear before Noah Woods does the same to him. This is just what it's like, missing that bottom on Texas. He's back at it. Up front, I see the 97 looking to try and sneak his way around the outside of the battle. We have some tech issues, so we're going to just get the best views we can from here. We have more too wide up front. Drivers are absolutely pushing all the way to the end of this stage. Almost free, 46 on the outside of the 22, keeping it pushing. I think the 97 stayed out in front by quite a margin, though, after all that.
And this is a barn burner of a restart. And hey, Howie, I can't say I called it, but these drivers aren't really having as hecticness of a restart as you're probably expecting here on lap 80, right towards the end of this second stage. About 10 more laps left to go, and seeing these racers continue to fight hard. One driver who's come up and has had a whole head of speed right towards the end of this is going to be that number 22. He is cooking at the present moment.
I mean, I'm seeing some bold moves further back and big free wide moves far on the end of the field. They could just choose to ruin this for all of us and ruin all of our remaining optimism. Still scrambling for every place that we can get going, with only a couple laps to go in stage. But it looks like it could be Lucas Hoytsman's runaway success right now. Oh, that cat car held up to the outside as that P2 is going to try and squeeze in the 87 through the inside. They're side by side, still quite even, but again, you just see the speed lost on the outside lane, and even a little wall tap to go with it.
And that right there is Damien Esperanza, I believe, in the number 22 car that's having a brilliant run at the present moment. He is dropping down a little bit, currently side by side with himself in the number 15 of Miller coming out of turn number 1 and 2. Let's see how it'll work out now. This is going to be a drag race between these competitors. That 22 may have had a head of speed on this restart, but it's not working out too well for him, as here comes the number 73 of Joseph McWhorter, a driver who's been very quick thus far this race. It must be said, how he yet to grab a win thus far this season. I have a feeling, though, he may be in contention for it here at Texas.
I think now we're starting to see the cream very much rise to the top around this track, and starting to see the drivers that can make their stuff work on the long run and be fast at the same time, play it to their benefit. Further back, we've already strung out quite a decent bit, with a little bit of drivers trying to hold up that top line, but I wouldn't do it if I were them. I would just sort of hang in behind the next guy and just hope that I could nurse the car through to the end of the stage, look out for a mistake to get on the inside. But the outside just hasn't really been a place we've seen great success throughout this race. Texas is a very, very one-lane intermediate track, and it's really about who can jump to that bottom first. It looks almost as if someone's going to try and challenge for that P1. Instead, as you can see, it's just a scramble to that white line behind between the 2 and the 3.
Down to the end of the stage as well on lap 87. That second stage going to come to a conclusion. Let me try spitting my words out here properly. The second stage, the end of it, going to be coming out on lap 90. So we are getting to the point where these drivers have to think about setting themselves up as well as they possibly can for the very end of this stage. The number 97 of Lucas Hoytman is still in P1, but look at Adam Benefield. He's already grabbed 2 wins thus far this season. However, it has been a couple of weeks since we saw him go into victory lane. He's looking to be feisty. Look at that block heading through the trial. Well, that's a bit risky.
What are we willing to wreck for? I would wreck for stage 2. I'd do it for glory. Do it for the sake of going fast. I think it's going to help our leader run away as there's some real bullying and intimidation down the track further behind. Drivers running all the way to the white line. You don't see much of that around here. That 15 has claimed the P2 in the meantime, just about stuck it for long enough and fast enough, and I think a P3 could be up for threat as well. Very, very early move to the bottom from the 73, and I don't think the nose is quite in enough. The gap is still there if the momentum presents itself. He's got to get himself lower on that track if he wants to defend that place.
And there we go, the number 15 of Miller looking for that move down the inside, heading off into turn number 3 and 4. How's it going to work out for him? Is it going to work out well? Is it going to work out badly? It's going to work out well, but with a sideways snap coming out of 3 and 4. That's going to stall his momentum out a little bit, heading off through the trial for the last time in this second stage. How's it going to work out? You can see the flames spitting out of the exhaust of those 2 cars. They've built a gap. It is all there for the taking for these 2. Look at Hoytsma running a little bit farther down the track, trying to get into the head of the 15, keep a shallow approach down into 3 and 4. He's still holding on to that inside line. The 97 hitting the bump. He's going to slip in and tow. The 15 going to come out of 3 and 4, holding on to the race lead. But look at the number 97 fighting back on the inside right there on lap 90. That is the end of the stage, and the 15 going to grab it at the very end. That was a barn burner of a finish, but Robert Miller in the number 15 car is going to win stage 2 at the end of it all. That's the stage is taken care of. We now have the final stage, the final dash to the checkered flag. We're going to take a commercial break and we'll be right back with pit stops.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need: Maconi.
With the launch of Maconi Entertainment and Maconi Competizone alongside Maconi Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at MaconiSetupShop.com/subscriptions.
And remember, at Maconi Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
Welcome back to this evening's coverage of the Friday Night Lights Xfinity Series here on Maconi Entertainment. Back with the start of the final stage. It's been a brilliant race up to this point. Matt White in the number 10 car was your winner in stage 1. Robert Miller in the number 15. You'll see him at the front of the field right about now. He won that second stage. Let's see if either of those two drivers who have yet to get a victory thus far will be in it to win it, or if we're going to have the number 97 of Lucas Hoytsma join a very exclusive club of drivers who have multiple wins up to this point this season. Only 2 drivers have done that. Adam Benefiel, who won back-to-back races at Martinsville and Darlington, and Bryson Hixenball, who's won a lot of races. Coda earlier on in the season, Las Vegas, Miami, and Bristol. He seems to be the maestro of some of these intermediate tracks, but who's going to be shooting those 6 guns here at Texas at the end of it all here tonight? Lap 94 coming to 95 with the green flag back in the air, and the drivers back on their way. The 15 of Miller getting off to a flyer. The quarter in the number 73 car, though, he's right to the bumper. The 97 of Hoytsma not getting off to a good restart at all, but he's going to have some momentum on the high side.
Impressive pace on the high side for Hoytsma, just flying out ahead. I think Benefiel had a pretty bad run to the bottom. I think it's going to be all about these top 4 scrambling out for the end of the race. If we stay green, this is going to be the run that has some pit strategy in it. This is going to be the one where drivers are going to have to stop under green, and so they're not going to have enough fuel, and tyre wear is going to matter more than anything else. Drivers want that track position here early, but they have to trade that off later. For now, Miller, McWhorter, Hoytsma, and Benefiel staying very much in that 4-car row. But I see McWhorter already ready to try and do this again to the inside. That 15 is all the way up the track, and that's going to be free back into the lead. He's going to want to stay there now for as long as he can get away with.
Joseph McWhorter has had a whole lot of speed thus far here tonight at Texas, and as we've talked about a lot throughout this broadcast, he's been pretty consistent all throughout the season. Yet to grab a win, but he's been getting those good point stays all the time. And as we follow the number 97 of Lucas Hoytsma here on lap number 97, as much as he's got pace, he is not alone in terms of having a rocket ship underneath him. That number 15 of Miller, after that brave pole in the pits during stage 2, he's jumped up to the front of the field. He's gone out of the dirty air. He's gone out of the nonsense of the cars behind, and he's now really turning up the wick in that 15 machine. Look at some side-by-side racing involving the number 96 of Goza and the 2 of Simpson. These two side-by-side hang off through turn number 1 and 2 right now. How's that going to work out?
Yeah, there's so much going on this grid, but the battle up front is so good that it's hard to catch every last bit of it. 2 drivers we've not spoken too much of, but that 8 car, he's done it a few times this race, just being bullied out that bottom lane, stayed high and just dropped it back. It looks like it's happening again as it speaks. Lots of time to make up the difference, but maybe he's just trying to manage his stuff, doesn't really care too much at this stage, or maybe he's begging to try and get that bottom lane back further up front. We can see that I can't even do names anymore. I've lost my capability. It's been too long. Reboot me. Benefiel getting to the inside of Hoytsma. And they're going to keep on training it for a while. And I wonder if the 46 of Rose is actually going to make himself a part of this, if Hoytsma's going to be held up to the top for any longer.
And this is still an intense battle up at the north end of the field. Lucas Hoytsma, he was brave last time out at Talladega to grab his first win of the season, and he's brave yet again. Look at the chop across the nose on Truel, heading down that back straightaway off into 3 and 4. He licks the stamp and sends it to try and get moved on the 46 of Rose. Right behind them is Truel. He is still your leader of the Dash for Cash competitors. Jim Schufield slotted in P8 second of those Dash for Cash racers. Then you have to go well farther back to find the number 33 of Ken Ron. It is a pretty much a two-horse race at the front of the Dash for Cash, but at the front of the field, it is absolute pandemonium with the top 9 covered by a tick over a second.
Lots and lots of close racing early on in the stage. Track position is going to mean so much in the long run if you can get it done. Here's the 71. I just see sort of pushed up a little bit wide. This wide cam will show you just the whole spread of this top 10. It separates quite a bit behind, but it's almost entirely single file, except right now for, I believe it was Troll last time I was looking at it. It's quite hard to tell with all the differences around the pack, but everybody just about keeping to themselves. Troll almost giving up that bottom line to the 97 one more time. If that bottom line gets given up, all hell seems to break loose around there. That top 3 have been pretty stable as it stands for a quarter high up on the track. Miller not quite getting into the space at this stage.
And I'm still going to keep my eyes on the number 83 of Adam Benefield. He won 2 races earlier on at some rather different tracks than this here at Texas. Martinsville and Darlington were the 2 races that he's won up to this point. So who knows? May end up breaking that small little snap of some rather historic tracks. And running that track that's only been open since 1997. Benefield going to run a pretty good race. As you can see, a bit of a wall scrape from the 5. That right there was Williams with that wall tap heading into turn number 1 and 2. He's on the outside of the number 97 of Hoytsma. You can see them coming onto that back straightaway. It is still monstrously close at the front of the field. McWhorter still leads it over Miller, but it's a tick over a 10th between those 2.
Still lots of jockeying for position, and Hoytsman's not really where we expected him to be right now. He's been doing quite a bit of dropping down, and he's having to defend from 2 at once at this stage. Now, I think he might be playing a long game. I don't think Hoytsma could ever really be counted out. We'll be seeing him near the front up again by the time the end of the race kicks off. But as long as he keeps that car clean, it might just be all according to plan. Further up, losing out places, Eddie Rose takes the P3 back. A drop of 2 by Benefield, and that is some contact that has sent Noah Williams wide into the wall in that 5 car. He just about saved it and kept it together. I don't think the car is going to be too happy with the contact taken, and he runs right into the front of the 2 already. I'm amazed John Williams was able to save that as it was. We stay green as a result, but that could be a bit of a rivalry built up later. I think that was contact with Hoytsman to make that one happen.
Yeah, and that's not going to win many fans over if you are a fan of the driver of the number 5 car. So Lucas Hoytsma, never been a target on his back if we end up seeing those drivers get close together yet again. Not going to be an intentional wreck at all. These drivers are better than that, but at the same time, he's not going to be happy. That nearly completely ruined the 5's race. So not going to be pleased at all with the 5 to the number 97, but at the front of the field, Hunter Truel getting a move done to jump his way up into P2. He finished 11th last time out at Talladega to win $100 in the Dash for Cash. But as it stands presently, he's running a lot better now than he did at Talladega 1 week ago. Slotted second, it's about 0.4 of a second to himself and Joseph Corner, and he's still holding on to that lead of those Dash for Cash competitors, with the next driver of Jim Schufield being down in P7. Looking pretty good if you're the driver of the number 71 car, and you may be in for a good shot of winning this race.
I'm looking at some of these gaps up ahead, and McWhorter as sort of... Oh, wait, no, I was thinking they might be coming off the lap traffic already. It looked as if they were running right into a car, but actually, that is a lapped car around the back, I think. I'm going to need that. Yeah, he flies on by. That makes sense. Hoping they get around the outside of that without too many problems. It's amazing we're getting to lap traffic this early, quite frankly, but could have been due to some mistakes or damage caused throughout the race. He sticks to the high side, and we keep on running. Single file, but a lot of traded places. Hunter Truex just sort of come out of nowhere to claim that P2. Eddie Rose has been a part of this battle for a while, but Miller has lost out on the road, so has Adam Benefield. It's too wide again. Truex holds the outside this time. He might lose out to Rose by the time all is said and done. Miller watching intently from behind, hoping a mistake kicks off.
A small little mistake here at Texas is very easy to do. We've seen a lot of drivers scrape the wall around this racetrack in the 110 laps we've had up to this point. We also have to think about the possibility of those green flag pit stops. We've run green thus far here in the final stage. Let's see, though. These drivers are really turning up the wind of these battles, and we're rapidly approaching upon the point where it may start to boil over. McWhorter, Truex, Rose, Miller, Benefield, all covered by nothing. They're running in a train. We didn't even see a train this close at Talladega last time out, so holy cow. Speaking of holy cow, look at the 15 trying to make a 3 wide down into turn number 3 and 4. Gets moved on the 46 of Rose. He's right to the back of the 71 of Truex. Gets that move done to jump his way into the final podium spot, but this is a hornet's nest at the north end of the field.
Rose basically had to run away there in order to not get wrecked. As huge move. A few cars sideways up on the field, and where's Truex going all the way up the track? Looked like a bit of chaos and pandemonium flew on behind, but we stay at green. Yeah, Miller's just come back straight out of nowhere with that good pace. So it was maybe merely just a flesh wound for now, and Truex just dropped off of the face of a planet. Jim Schofield could claim that P5 if he sticks to the bottom just a little bit longer. Once you end up off the bottom lane here, it feels so hard to get back. You obviously don't want to drive your way down. That's how you wreck tires, but also there's always just a car there waiting to get superiority. He is able to slot back in front this time, not the run expected. Ralph Hutchinson, there's been a few incidents today, but he's still running back up in the P7, almost gets up on the inside of Schofield.
Out this field. Hoytsma, this is very similar to what we saw in stage number 1 from the driver of the number 97 car. Restarted, well, he started this race up towards the front, dropped down a little bit, and then made his way back up. May end up seeing a similar case here from Hoytsma, the number 97 car slot at P8 as it stands presently. From side-by-side racing involving the 2 Dash for Cash drivers. This is the first time we've had a swap-a-roo between these two. That's Schofield and Truex side-by-side heading off to 3 and 4. And Schofield gonna get that move done to jump up into P5 as back up at the front of the field side-by-side. McWhorter on the outside, Miller on the inside. This will be a drag race heading down that back straightaway. The 15 car gonna have a head of speed heading off through 1 and 2. Gets that move done as it's now drag race between the 73, the 83 for McWhorter and Benefield.
For a second there, Miller just held at the middle, and that sort of stopped either driver from getting a really big run. I think these drivers will just be trading their places back and forth, back and forth. Maybe it's just, at this point, they're just giving it to each other and accepting that the race really kicks off near the end. Here's Truex on the inside of Schofield, going to send him very, very wide. And this time there may be momentum on exit, but being on the bottom on that start finish, on the back straight even, doesn't quite help him. He gets that clear for now. Still trying to run it through. He's definitely fast up through the turns. Will he make this quad oval work for him? Able to stick to the grass. I think the fact that he stayed so low out of these bends is actually stopping his momentum, because then the 47's back on him again. It just seems to be the same story.
I think these two are racing with a bit more aggression for the simple sake that they're really the only two involved in that Dash for Cash discussion as it stands presently. So a long way left to go in this race. We are officially past the halfway mark, but not terribly far past in my view. But these two running P5 and P6, they've been the top two in the Dash for Cash from the drop the green flag all the way through to the point in the race where we find ourselves in right now. Tim Phillips, he ran into some difficulties. I believe he has actually called it quits here. Yeah, you can see he's down in P38 as it stands presently, has spent the past, I believe, presently about 37 laps down or something like that. So it's 3 Dash for Cash competitors still left in this race, and Ken Ron, the 33 car, has pretty much perpetually been down in 33rd. So looks like it's just going to be those two contending for that $100 check at the end of this race, and they have a good shot to do well, just period, in this race as well. Truel yet to grab a win thus far this season. The same can be said for that number 47 of Jim Shoefield. They've shown some pace over the past couple of weeks, and hey, a checkered flag means a lot. It means you're guaranteed into the playoffs. The $100 is also $100 as well. However, it looks like it's slipping away a little bit from Truel's. Here comes the 8 of Ralph Hutchinson on his inside.
Still too wide racing with Truel. He's lost the first place. Now on the outside, he might just lose another. Look out for Hoitzman on the inside. That gap's available, and it's just going to close up in time. But I think Hoitzman's playing a long game with us. I think Hoitzman is just waiting it out, and we'll be talking about him a whole lot later when he's back up near the front. The 83 and the 15 still battling it out. Benefield is going to try and get back under Miller one more time. McWater's dropped back nearly a second from Miller, so he's just ducked himself right out of this battle for now, and it's going to take quite a bit of pace to return. Big run through the mid-corner. There's just nowhere to go for Benefield. Is he going to try and make it happen down the back stretch? The inside line would help him, but Miller's been quite a good defender, and he's going to wash down just in time to stop the car from getting underneath.
I wonder if you are Adam Benefield in that number 83 car, are you maybe thinking at this point, you know what, I'm just going to slot behind, I'm not going to burn up my stuff, I'm not going to burn up my fuel, I'm just going to run here in the draft, not worry too much, and just let the race fall into my lap. Should be noted as well, these track temperatures have been rather hot up to this point, but they've cooled off by about 11 degrees in the past 40 or so laps. It was north of 100 degrees Fahrenheit, now currently 89.6 Fahrenheit. Still rather hot, but at the same time, it's nowhere near as much of a scorcher as it was not terribly long ago. And because of that, these tires are starting to feel a bit better. As you can see, right as I say that, two drivers running right in tow, scraping the wall. Something's up with the number 71 car, because he just scraped the wall about 3 times in the span of 15 seconds.
That was a big wall shot from Mark Paget, the 2 car as well. I think that was the bigger shot I saw. Too wide further ahead. The car's right up in front of Hoitzman, Hutchinson and Schofield doing it again. And in fact, that gap's going to be seized by Hoitzman. Very, almost like there was nothing in it. And he's going to try and do one more on the inside. I would say too many words in one sentence and it all just falls apart. I'm really the clown of the day and you get away with it. Yet here comes Hoitzman with the good long run pace. He's been stuck around these cars for quite some time, probably quite enjoying it, but we're seeing flickers of that pace come out again. I think he's just not willing to end this race over these sorts of positions. Pit stops will happen in probably around 20 laps or so. That's about the mile span these cars have, and at that point, it's just going to be about whether you've used it better than the other drivers around you.
And we also have to think about the possibility of having some green flag pit stops between now and the end of this race. These drivers, even if they came in right now, they would not be able to make it all the way through to the checkered flag without some pit stops. So those are pretty much guaranteed. The real question is, though, will we have some yellow intervention in this final stage? It looks like we've broken out of the chaos, but as these tires and these cars start to run a bit more sourly, I think we are getting to that point where these drivers may end up falling under yellow yet again. So let's see. These drivers still dealing with the track conditions, dealing with the changing conditions around this racetrack. It's starting to spread out a little bit. The only pack that I can still see is absolutely insane is at the front. Miller and Benefield still battling tooth and nail, about 3/10 of a second between those two racers. And that's a 47 dropping down.
It has very much settled down around here, but I don't think the inevitable yellow, and I'm cursing it right now, I'm just telling you what's going to happen. It's preordained now. Lock it in, put it on the bingo card. Is that I think it's just going to take one mistake when these tyres get worn, just one miscalculation, just one person hold too hard on the wall, all sorts of things could trigger that. Now Schofield's dropped like a rock behind Woods and Goza and Paget. I mean, just behind him, just behind him. Simpson also 5 seconds back on the leaders of the race. Here's the 47 car of Jim Schofield. Looks like there are some lap cars around, so it's actually quite hard to tell on a relative level what's going on at this point. But here's a good run through the middle of the corner. Still no pace to catch up to Gozer, and in fact, I think Simpson might be ready to try and claim that. He's got a very, very big run. He's going to need to be given that inside line if this is going to stay clean. And that's dropping all the way back up front. We're still fighting. That was on the outside lane. Lucas Hoytsma trying to make the pass around Ralph Hutchinson. He's starting to put the speed on, I think, but he's going to be burning up his stuff side by side. He really wants to be clear, and he really wants this to be over. Off the track, the 24.
Yeah, that's a 24 coming off the track. There's a lot of stuff going on. I think we may have just had a crash heading through the trial, but yes, we have. The yellow flag coming out 129 laps into this 203 lap long race, and there you can see that 42. Oh my God, that was the 87, having to pretty much ride the wall heading off through the trial to avoid making contact with Lowery in that number 42 car. Now load up a replay to figure out what exactly went wrong. You can see a lot of these cars.
Look at that right front.
Yeah, look at the right front on that car. Who is that on the inside? That's the number 77 of Strunk. He won earlier on in this season, I believe, at Atlanta. Not going to win it here in Texas with a car ready for the scrap heap, but I think he may have been at the center of all this. Let's take a look at this here, Howie.
Just a bit of a rattled cage from behind. What's the hit that's going to cause it? Boom! Big into the 42 and big into the wall, just a passenger. And yeah, I'm afraid the cars are not road legal when their tires are like that. That's just a little bit too much toe in, or is it toe out? I don't do car setup. That's the sort of thing Maconi does in his spare time instead. Yeah, just a bit of a mistake. Oh, I mean, I think that there could have been a way to avoid that. He sort of decided to pin his hopes to the top lane and hope it would go away. While we sort out this caution, we're going to go to a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back.
I highly recommend it. You won't find anybody as good as Jam Printing.
Jam is a friendly and professional company that just doesn't do print to make sure that you grow and your business grows to the next level.
They are a very community-focused organization. They donate to every event in the area.
Every time I hand out one of Jam's printed materials, I get a ton of compliments, and that's the power of Jam Printing.
One thing with Jam is it is a veteran-owned company, and that really resonates with me.
Jam Printing is like no other. Their dedication to customer service is amazing.
If you're looking to amp up your marketing, Jam Printing and Promotions is the place to go.
Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to this evening's coverage of the Friday Night Lights Xfinity Series at Texas. We are firmly into this final stage. Have had, I believe this is a 30 yellow 4 incidents and the 5th overall in this race. It's been a rather clean one up to this point, Howie, but as we approach the end, I think we may start to see these drivers turn the wick up.
The mistakes are going to amplify, the errors are going to get scarier, and I think this is slowly going to become frustrating for some and jubilous for others. This battling at the front has been spectacular, but this reset of the race, I think, is going to kick it all off again. Now, how much will these cautions breed cautions? That's the important question, as these are two getting a little bit friendly with each other up on the front row. That is very close to be running a car. I believe Miller gets to run the restart here, the 15, so pace car about to pull in.
And here we go. The number 15 and the 83 going to be at the front of this field for this restart coming up. 132 laps coming to 133 in this race. And the 15 with a jump on the 83. Going to hold on to the race lead. Now it's a fight between McWhorter and Benefield heading off through the section of the racetrack. Let's see how it'll work out for McWhorter on that inside and Benefield on the outside line. The 83 car, as much as he hasn't been constantly running at the front, he's always been up towards the north end as a huge crash heading through, and upside down is the number 82.
Are we wrecking for last on today's field? We might just be. That is certainly a monster one. We're going to have to try and catch on replay of that and see what has happened. That's 82 has well and truly retired from this one. Quite a massive one. Oh, we're going back. I love to see it. That's the old iRacing way. So where does this really kick off on the field? Driver's quite far back. It's a spin from the 3 and the 2 at the same time. The 2 saves it. The 3 doesn't. Into the side, and then everything else is just, wrecking for last was mean. That was just a little mistake, but a little mistake with very big consequences.
Golly, that 82 got hit by just about everything but the food truck on the inside. That was insanity. We're going to take a look at it from the 82's perspective. That was one of the most sickening collisions I've seen in my entire time doing broadcasting. And let's take a look at it. You can see those two drivers lose control right in front. Nowhere to go is Cliff Mullins. And bang! Oh my goodness. And there goes the camera.
Yeah, well, it looks like they're going to be paying for one of those. You break it, you buy it. Here's Michael Pretrick. And the grip very low. Even on these new tires, they are very cold, and it's just not saved in time. And then at that point, anyone in the way is just in the way. It's funny to see someone in a wreck like this. I understand the temptation to move the wheel and try and get control of your situation. Unfortunately, you can't always wrest back control from physics.
We're going to run on board with Tanner Marty in the number 29 Toyota and his perspective of all this. He was right behind the 82, who just took a wild ride, and there you can see. So what happened? The 82 got bounced, and you can see a fantastic view of Tanner Marty's hood after it flew up, and you can just barely see. There you can see the Goodyear, upside down Goodyear of the 82. And here's Michael Deitch's perspective in all this in the number 82 machine, and sorry, the 88 machine, my apologies. He was one of the last cars involved in all this. Big contact there, and not major contact. A little bit of a tap from the back, and you can see it was a big amount of driving. You can see the fish on the back of the 29 car that was on the 88 come to a stop. As here's Joe Rowland in the 18, one of the last cars to arrive at the scene of this accident, and bang, it's the 82. And that's what sent that number 82 of Mullins with that one-way trip to go upside down on the backstretch.
It looks like you've blown the engine. You've probably lost a lot of power. We'll be back after a break. Or will we? The tension.
I didn't know they made Xfinity cars out of rubber, so as you can see the motor blow up from 82. We're finally going to take that commercial break.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need, Maconi.
With the launch of Maconi Entertainment and Maconi Competizone alongside Maconi Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at MaconiSetupShop.com/subscriptions.
And remember, at Maconi Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
Back for the restart here at Texas, and you can see deja vu. It's a 15 in the 83 yet again on this front row, Howie. We're back into that green-yellow cycle. The real question is, will that continue on with this restart, or is it actually going to get broken up?
Well, eventually you start to weed out the mistakes. I'll just look at the check them out next time we go around the track. The massive just tire marks all over the entrance into the back stretch there. These drivers at the front are doing very little wrong, and yet they're being forced into back-to-back cautions. It will calm down in time, and they will get their race back in time. Miller and Benefiel alongside McWhorter, they've been racing so well all race, and we're not even halfway through the stage. Mostly fresh tyres for the field, ready to go green.
Yeah, brace for the restart here at Texas, and watching these drivers gun it on this restart. The 15 getting off to a flyer. That inside line has always been dominant on these restarts all throughout the day. Let's see if it's going to be that lane that prevails between now and the very end. The 83 car getting hung out to dry. He's got to slip in behind McWhorter to drop down to third. You can see the tire marks of the incident that happened earlier on, but as we look at the battle at the front of the field, we're going to look at the battle just barely inside the top 10. Because things have really flared up for that dash for cash fight. They were spread out by quite a lot, but those drivers have now since get vacuum sealed together. The number 27 of Tim Phillips ran into some difficulties earlier on. He's out of contention. He's not going to be taking home that $100 paycheck at the end of this race. However, Jim Shoefield and Hunter Truex running in P5 and P6 right nose to tail, and Ken Ron, who I believe stayed out during the latest yellow, the 33 car, actually jumped up to P14 all the way from 33rd. Now that he's nowhere near down farther back as he once was, and probably getting a bit more clean air on the nose of that race car, I wonder if we're going to see Ken Ron get involved in that battle as well.
It's going to take a while, but I think we could be seeing a lot of long-run change throughout this race, given the time. Miller's starting to run away a bit, although when I say run away, probably McWhorter will be on his rear within a couple laps, and that'll be all over. Such is the nature of this top 4 to 5 throughout this race. They've been constantly trading, and no one's really gotten a super dominant run. Whoever's leading for now is often quite not the same in 10 laps time. Obviously not many drivers up front stopped under that last caution, so we're seeing very much drivers all still on those quite fresh tyres, barely got worn under the caution, and they are going to need another if we stay green throughout this run before the end of the race. One later caution, and we might not need that in exchange. Every lap around, I see McWhorter sticking to that bottom very, very effectively. It feels like he only gives it up when he really wants to. Although Benefiel is going to try and swing it in. Is this going to be a time he gets it done? Not quite. He's been very, very good at that bottom lane, McWhorter.
Still looking at these drivers at the north end of the field. Benefiel running in third. That 83 car has been quick throughout this race, as has the 73. But one driver who's really caught my attention is that 15 of Miller. Wasn't really involved in that lead pack discussion not terribly long ago. Made a great strategy call during stage 2 to get himself into this position in the first place. But ever since then, once he's gotten into the clean air in that number 15 car, he's really, I wouldn't say run away with it. He's building up a pretty big gap, though, about a half a second between himself and McWhorter, with those two maybe going to battle, that being McWhorter and Benefiel, nose to tail, heading down the backstretch. Miller, though, in that 15 machine, he's been rather impressive as of recent to me. What about you, Mary?
Well, we've been seeing drivers really start to get quite into their own as the third stage goes on, and the strategy changes quite a bit. And indeed, some of these drivers have now started to make their long-run plays very, very evident and show that they're in to win this race. They don't really care about those first few stages. What's 10 or 20 points to them? They want the big win. Miller made a good run for now. McWhorter still holding Benefiel off, holding the same lines as they did before. Going to take a mistake on corner entry, I think, to unsettle this 73 car, but it can be done. He's not unpassable. We've seen him give up and trade back his positions all race long.
And it is still a battle that is going to be raging between now and the very end of this race. Well done to these drivers as well. They've been battling tooth and nail from the drop the green flag all the way through to now, knocking on the door of lap 145 of this 203 lap long race. They haven't come to blows yet. I'm going to leave the opportunity open by saying yes. These drivers have been running very clean, as side by side between Truex and Shoefield. Another tap of the wall for the 71 of Truex. He was quick in the earlier stages. That 71 car, I'm not sure whether he swapped out a suspension for a trash bag full of mango pulp or what, but that car's been running sour as they nearly come to blows coming out 1 and 2.
That's a new one. I feel like I just got taken out of the race action with that one. I mean, every week you provide a new gem of wisdom, Ron. You should never, ever, ever change that.
Yeah. What can I say?
The racing's been clean. Even in the wrecks we've had, the racing's been clean, and it's just been little errors. It's just been people making their own driving mistakes and that sort of cascading. Not seen any dumb moves or sort of stuff that will really, really make you hate it. I mean, I think the 97 did do a little bit of contact, but it was a sort of clean contact that you love to see in stock car racing too, so you can't even hate him for that. Lot settling out in this middle of the front pack over here, although the 71 has it a little bit lower than Williams up ahead. It's not converted into entry, and in fact, the gap was left a little bit open if Schofield wanted to take. Not quite. We're playing a very single file game here.
These drivers, I think they've seen that green, yellow, green, yellow, green, yellow, green, yellow cycle that we've had as a race in this race. And they're like, you know what? Let's just have a good, clean run all the way through to the checkered flag in this race. A lot of time left to go. But these drivers are just outside the window where they can make it to the end, I believe, on fuel. If they do make it to the end, they're going to have to be clutching at straws, clutching and coasting, heading off through all of these corners and just saving as much as they can. But the thing is, with these NASCAR Xfinity race cars, they're powered with a V8. They don't have some sort of like four-cylinder motor you get like a Toyota Prius or something like that. These cars eat fuel, so the chances of them making all the way through to the end of this race in one single tank, again, doubly so considering a vast majority of the fuel did come down pit lane last time by, I don't think that they can make it. And the real question is, though, Howie, are these drivers even going to attempt to make that fuel game? Or are they just going to say, you know what, screw it, not going to save gas, let's just burn it and have it done towards the end?
I don't think it's realistic. I think the usually you could estimate an Xfinity car at doing about 40 to 45 laps. That's usually sort of the ballpark on the most tracks of this length, what works. And if you're 20 down at the start of the stage, then what are you doing? Just driving around at half speed? I think all these drivers are going fast enough that they're going to make that stop work, or they're expecting something else might happen behind, because then that fixes the problem for all of them, of course.
Yeah, late race yellow towards the end of this race can just complete. I mean, if you're a driver trying to save fuel and a yellow comes out within the final 5 laps, that's going to be a kick in the shins if ever you have felt it. So I'm not sure if these drivers are going to be setting themselves up for something like that as we look at some drivers at the front of the field dealing with some lap traffic. You can see one car just shooting up to the high side. A change for 18th going on right now. Here's Kritz and Simpson. These two cars have been involved in their own fair share of difficulties. The 34 car, last time we really saw him on screen for an extended period of time, he was mega sideways, knocked down the wall, gave himself a little bit of damage and had to come down pit lane for what we thought was going to be a pit stop. Ended up being a drive-through pit lane because I believe he came in right after the first yellow in this race. So it shows you how quickly things can change here at Texas. 1 minute, you have a car that's ready for the scrap heap. Next thing you know, you're running pretty all right.
Bless those virtual pit crew engineers. They never sleep, always efficient. They never mess it up for you, and they will fix any hunk of junk you give them. Quite frankly, they are the miracle makers that we wish we could have in motorsport. Here's Lucas Hoitzma, quite far back on where we were expecting. He's really in quite the gaggle right around now, and in 13th. I called his long run inevitable, and he's going to have to start making up these places fairly quickly now in order to be in the real shot, even on a strategy game. Although maybe his pit stop strategy is so offset that it works out, as that 24 car is doing its best around here. I appreciate the effort there for Jeremy Clapham-Newell. At least, very least, a lot of air is getting into that engine.
I mean, hey, you can take it. That's for sure. No overheating issues for Newell, but I think there may be some slightly more things awry with that race car. But I say all of that. I don't know how these race cars are fully designed. I'm not a dentist. Miller is still running in the race lead. McWhorter is slotted in P2, but we have a yellow in this race, Howie. There's been some drama a little bit farther in the back to bring out another yellow, this time coming within that window where these drivers, if they come down pit lane this time by, they can make it on fuel. It'll still be a bit of a close call, but they can do it if they choose.
We're back to single stage racing. We're not quite sure where the incident is, so we'll keep an eye on the pit stops instead as we come around the track. As Linus right up behind the pace car, and we're going to get the pit lane open soon. Sounds like we might be getting a bit of a break as well. So see you in just a minute.
Actually going to...
Okay, I misheard my producer. We're not doing that one at all. This time we're seeing the pit lane. This is going to be the ever pivotal pit stop strategy, I think. The timing, the entrance, the exit. It's very easy to mess this up and get it wrong, but you get this right and you're having a good run to the end of the race. Make sure you don't speed, make sure you hit that speed limit, make sure you make it to your box in time, and then make sure you punch it on the exit. Whoever has track position coming out of this stop is going to be able to control the race. Maybe this is how Hoytsma pulls off the miracle.
See lots of different drivers with lots of different strategies. A 73 of Joseph McWhorter. I believe he only took 2 tires on that stop. That is going to be a rather interesting call.
There is Hoytsma.
There is Lucas Hoytsma. So he jumped into P2. Howie, you called that like a charm.
Well, he also only took 2. Here's how the tires have been set out. McWhorter and Hoytsma on 2 tires. Behind them, Miller and Benefiel on 4. Then Dylan Kritz, who dropped back quite a bit. He's taken 2, gotten himself up to P5. Everyone else on 2 will give you the top 10. Rose, Truhl, Williams, Schofield, and Wheeler. But make out your top 10 for this restart.
And we'll be right back with a restart after these messages.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Under yellow at Texas here for the full-length Xfinity Series Friday Night Lights Xfinity action, and you could see that may have been a disqualification being levied to the driver who got bounced around like hell heading down into turn number 1 and 2, and that has brought out the yellow.
Well, it looks like that disappearance could have been the dreaded DQ. This league runs a 17x disqualification. It's a contentious issue every single week with the drivers, but they enter the track knowing what they're going to get. Drivers 2 wide, looks like ready for the restart in just a lap's time. I'm trying to work out where the pace car is. Yes, we're doing 1 more lap around the track, so I'll just continue my tangent and we'll get back to the restart in a lap's time. Like, drivers enter every week knowing it. We've seen some races where it's really exploded in their faces and it catches out a few. It's an instant DQ at 17, even for a full-length Xfinity race.
And as we get towards the end of the racing action here at Texas, still a pretty long way until we get to the checkered flag, but it's still a pretty long time left in the racing action here. We've already been running for 1 hour and 42 minutes up to this point, have over 140 laps on the board, but at this point, there's still, we can basically treat this sort of like an endurance race in an odd way, where, like, take the 24 hours of Daytona, for instance. The first 20 hours are just basically research and development, trying to figure out where your car is and try not to crash. And then we get to the final end of it, where you decide, you know what, screw it, I'm going to push it, I'm going to try and risk it. Beautiful phraseology here from me with the final end. So I will shut up as we get this restart underway. On lap 157, coming to 158 of this 203 lap long race, it's McWhorter who took 2 tires on that stop, getting off to a cooker of a restart on that inside line. The 97 car, though, of Hoytsmith, he's stuck on the outside. He's by the wall. He's about to get cooked. Holy cow, that was a sideways snap heading through turns number 1 and 2. That could have ended an absolute disaster for the number 46. I believe that was Rose with a sideways snap coming out of the turn. It is still some close quarter stuff between these competitors. McWhorter and Benefield side by side, the 73 and the 83. They have done battle a lot throughout this race, and they are very good drivers in this series. Benefield, he's grabbed 2 wins up to this point. McWhorter, on the other hand, he hasn't grabbed a win, but he's been very good when it comes to those points. And those 2 drivers both grab a win. McWhorter dropping down now, potentially behind the number 46 of Rose as well. Benefield, though, got that move done, and now he's within striking distance of Miller in the 15. This is going to be a real intense battle. Now, 160 laps into this 203-lap-long race. 43 laps left to go, and for Miller, he has got the challenge of a lifetime for the 83 of Benefield.
I think he's going to be giving up this place very, very soon and trying to earn it back. This has been such a race where the front has never, ever, ever been able to run away. Benefield claims the P1 for now, with Miller just in range to try and do it back. I saw earlier, I was catching that little incident with you earlier as well, and it was a bit of a free wide pinch from both sides. I'm amazed we get away with it with the save of a lifetime. As here's McWhorter, he's in 11th. Where has he gone? Where has the speed of that car gone off to? He took all 4, but this is a little bit dreadful of a run. He's now down to 12th. He's getting eaten up, and that pace has disappeared off the face of the planet.
Yeah, the corner has dropped down like a rock, and there you can see another driver who took that brave call through pit lane to take only 2 tires, I believe. And there they are, kind of running nose to tail. You still got Fonseca in the number 99 car involved in all of that as well. Not a good run for those 2 drivers. I will say, though, overall, Joseph McWhorter, even if he doesn't get the finish at the end of it all, he should still not hang his head low. He has had a good day in the office here at Texas. Good points day, but again, he wants to probably grab a win at some point this regular season to seal the deal and get his way into those playoffs no matter what. As we see the 71 of Hunter Truex, he's getting a move on the number 15 of Miller, who's dropping down a little bit.
Lots of drivers here starting to drop and not really see their pace from earlier pay off. So Miller, not the first, maybe not the last. I see a very familiar car back there as well. Looks like the 10 of White, who was running up front early in this race, could be in with a shot again. Huge battling further up. I get very confused with the Miller car. He's definitely got a doppelganger out there on the field. You call it team liveries, I call it doppelgangers. Looks like he could try and run up the back of Goza. Has a nice run to the inside line and just about pushes that 96 up wide. That place will be earned back. We're doing so much of that today.
The game of Xfinity car leapfrog has been going on from the drop the green flag all the way through to this point in the race. 165 laps on the board. We're getting to crunch time here at Texas for sure. Adam Benefield still holding on to the race lead. Rose slotted in P2. And let's see, it's still racing between these 2. The 46 looking for that move down the inside off into 3 and 4. He's going to get that move done to jump in the race lead. And Truex going to follow in suit. As much as I said not terribly long ago, that 71 car was driving like a box of rocks. He's actually turned up the wick. He's turned on the Hyperjets. He's turned on the Cuisinarts. That 71 car now slotted P2.
I think I'm surprised to see a new race leader this early, but Rose has made it happen, and he's now playing that game to try and compete up front. Truls had a bit of a rocky roller coaster of a race, up and down again, and today is another up period. Whole field with a lot of too wide action back in these lower top 10 positions. The number 10 of white, I think he's back in the game, and I think he's ready to push them all around as well. And Goza very much came from nowhere to be here, or at least we've not talked about him terribly much. Lots of intrigue on this field. All the drivers we thought were absolute shoo-ins have dropped off the face of the planet, and we have some new challenges to finish off this race.
These drivers are starting to cook it even more, and the track's starting to get a bit more cooking hot as well. I said not terribly long ago, the track temperatures had dropped down to the high 80s. Back up into the high 90s, 98.6. I'm pretty sure that is just about perfect for bodily temperature. But in terms of track temperature, that's the point where those Goodyear tires start to slide around a little bit. And around a racetrack like this, which can act like a cheese grater on these tires, that's going to make that tire management game even more important towards the end of this race. If you have that good rubber underneath you, you're going to be able to push your competitors, push yourself, and get the maximum amount of performance out of your race car. If you're running like Fred Flintstone, though, on stone tires that are worn down to the canvas, though, you're not going to be feeling good. That's not going to be a good way to end this race. These drivers, as much as they still continue to fight, that tire management game probably needs to be in the back of their mind if they want to do well.
Lap 169 will leave us with about 33 to go. This has been a bit of a lightning stage in its own right, and it's certainly not over yet. Rose and Trull back to back, only a tenth of a second between them, and Benefiel isn't miles off making that happen as well. We're still moving up and down the back stretch as this race develops into its later phases. I think that 15 of Miller's coming back, though. He had his drop, but he didn't drop off the planet, and he's going to need to make a few more moves to get back up into these top positions. Only a couple to go, though. When you see that V1 car that close to you in your windshield, you think, I could make this a possible win.
I think all the drivers that you see on this camera shot right now, 13 in all, according to our producer, Mr. Marty Zakala, doing a wonderful job working on the cameras and the graphics and the virtual production hauler. This is pure unbridled insanity. And just about all these drivers, I think, have a good shot to get it done. The real question I've got, though, where the heck is the number 96 of Goza come from? He was running a little bit farther towards the back end of the front half of the field, but Cody Goza has really turned up the wick, running in P5 at the present moment. I don't believe is a shorter driver in this series, so he's not contending for a playoff spot, but he's still contending for a race win. That number 96 car has had a lot of speed as of recent. We talked about this earlier on, how we talked about the comers and goers in this race, how we were probably expecting, even down to the stages, you can have drivers come and go, the yin-yanging, the yo-yo effect of going up the running order, then down the running order, then back up the running order. Even in a 45-lap-long stage, in a 203-lap-long race, though, we've got that cranked up to 10. And even now, with 30 laps left to go in this race, we're still probably going to see a lot of these drivers inside the top 10 drop down, and we're going to see drivers outside the top 10 pull up.
I should have known this would happen the moment I disrespected Texas Motor Speedway, quite frankly. As soon as I implied that this race could be a one where there isn't too much passing, it's the most passing I've ever worked on a Friday night's lights race. So, you know, the commentator's curse, it's real. It's just in ways that humans cannot possibly understand and predict. Rose over Trull still. It's within just less than a tenth. Almost 100. I think that pass of P1's going to get done, as I see on the timing tower. It's a change of the lead. Now it's Trull's. It might remain Rose's, in fact, but I think there's momentum on that bottom. If the exit is good from Trull, we're still running a drag race down the backstretch, and Rose keeps it for now. They're going to keep doing this to the end of the race. There's very little time to go for them, so we're turning it up to 100.
And touching back yet again on the Dash for Cash discussion, Hunter Truex, who won it last time at Talladega, still in contention to win it here at Texas. But here comes Adam Benefiel on the inside of him, down into turn number 1 and 2. That 83 car looking to get a move done on the 71. They're side by side on corner exit as the 83 player and getting that move done. Riding on board with them now. You can see that 71 of Truex maybe starting to dance around this track a little bit. That car has had the biggest change in terms of either being absolutely fantastic and being locked on rails or being an absolute dumpster on wheels. That car has had a complete changeroo. I think we're seeing a lot of those changes go on yet again. They have to talk about Jim Shoefield, one of the other Dash for Cash drivers currently slotted in P8. He may get involved in that battle as well. Looking at a racing going on, this is the number 96 of Goza on the outside, the number 10 of Matt White, who won the opening stage here at Texas. They're still side by side down that back stretch, off into 3 and 4. Look at the 10 trying to lick the stamp and center, but not close enough to get alongside the number 86, but he's sideways. Yeah, but god damn it, that could have ended in tears.
Saves off the century happening left, right, and center for us, and White needs to get these passes done now if he wants a chance for the win. He started close to up front, and ever since then, he's been a little bit anonymous as it's gone on. Benefiel has reclaimed that P2, and I think Truex might lose out the P3 very soon to Miller, leaving us a quite familiar set in the top 3, although Rose would be a very nice last-minute surprise to help claim that win from he's always been near the top, but I didn't think he quite showed himself as a competitor to win. If we look on the rear bumper of Rose here, we can see Truex just trying to hang it around the outside, just trying to make it work. I think that 15 of Miller will have that inside line with the correct pace. Eventually, that's a good entry, and Truex just flies backwards. Miller back up to the top 3 as we go with 25 to go. Anything can happen here.
As that was a wall scrape from Rose, that's going to cause him the race lead. As down the inside into turn number 1 and 2 goes Adam Benefiel, picking off that challenge as Rose scraped the wall. It didn't seem like much, but it affected him badly. He's now trying to fight for his life to remain in the podium spots as look at Miller in the number 15 car looking for the inside down into 3 and 4. That's going to be some close quarter stuff between those two competitors. Now it looks like Rose going to drop down into 3rd. That car's starting to drive a little bit sour. You can see it got a little bit sideways coming at 3 and 4. These cars are starting to change. This track is more rubbered in than it ever has been. This track is just about as hot as it ever has been thus far in this race. And these cars are driving a lot different than they did a matter of only 30 laps ago. And we're starting to see that guy put on full display. Benefiel back in the race lead. He's been quick on these long runs. But that number 15 of Miller, I still am not going to discredit that number 15 car until we see a race winner cross that start-finish line. He had that risky call. He went down into the pits in stage number 2, jumped himself up to the front of the field, and ever since then, he has been smelling like a bed of roses. That 15 car may be a big thorn in the side of Benefiel.
I really can't make that call. I really can't. Well, I'm not telling you you're wrong. I'm telling you I can't tell you what it's going to happen. Benefield's been strong. Miller's been strong. They've been trading it back and forth time after time after time. I feel like if Benefiel loses it now, we'll have another shot at it. But, I mean, Miller's at the right place at the right time, seemingly at all these stages. He's happy to drop back at the start and then just charge back up to the front as the race comes to finish. And this is going to be a duel of who has that tire life left in them, who has been holding on the best throughout this race. A late caution would really mess with things, but if it doesn't, we still have a proper sprint as Miller, flying up to the rear bumper, has to check up to not run into the back of Benefiel. Can't quite get underneath him. He's been holding that bottom very, very well.
We've gotten to the point where, as much as it has been a game of glorified leapfrog here at Texas, second tries a charm with that pronunciation from me. As much as it's been a glorified game of leapfrog, we've gotten to the point where if Adam Benefiel can just position that number 83 car effectively, heading off to some of these corners, he may be may be able to cover off the challenge from the 15 of Miller towards the end of this race. We also have to think that these drivers continuing to struggle with grip and still going side by side. These two cars have been running sour, which I think just about proves my hypothesis. We may end up having a yellow at the end of this race. I can't discount that happening. And if that does happen, man, this race, which has been topsy-turvy from the drop of the green flag all the way through to now, that would be a massive wrench to be thrown into the race.
Well, now it sounds like you want it to happen. Now it sounds like you want to curse it. Oh, here we go. A little bit of a grass cut from 15 on the inside. That Miller doing anything he can to get every inch. He's forced his way down to that bottom lane. I don't know if the momentum's here. This lap, it's a slide from Benefiel up the track. He's lost a little bit in those rear tires, but Miller still isn't quite fast enough to make it happen. How good is the side draft these Xfinities? We've been finding out. Finally entering turn 3, Miller takes the lead, and Benefiel was very much spooked by one of the most aggressive moves I've seen all race.
Holy cow, how badly you want it? That's how badly Miller wants it, to get that move done to jump his way into the race lead. Still racing going on a little bit farther behind. This is the number 10 going side by side with the 46 of Rose. This has been a topsy-turvy race, and look at that with a wiggle on heading down that back straightaway. Right as I said it not terribly long ago, these drivers are playing with fire. The 46 nearly getting sent straight into that outside wall, heading off through 3 and 4. We're getting to the point where that tension is building. This race is heating up. It's starting to boil over. As our producer Marty just said, these cars are driving absolutely terribly. It feels like you may as well put skid plates on the rear tires of these race cars. They're skating around here badly. I mean, the Xfinity cars usually rather loose, but this is turning it up the wick. These tires are old. These drivers are worn out. They've been racing for up to 2 hours already, and the track is just about as hot as it ever has been. The 5 car now, here's Williams. He's been a good driver to keep tabs on towards the end of this race. He just got moved on a Benefiel. He may have the width to catch up to the 15th Miller.
Everybody just trying to hold on to the last of what they have, and Miller's pulled a second away from Williams and Benefiel in this time. His car is the only one that's feeling absolutely magic right now on this track, and it's just the first good lead breakaway we've seen in almost 200 laps where it's not been up to fret. Something has gone horribly wrong with Benefiel's car, and it's dropping and dropping and dropping, and he'll be lucky to even have that P3. Here's the 83 watching him run, and he just doesn't seem to have that energy or pace on the bottom of the track he's had for a very, very long time. I think too much got used up, and that slide will not help those guys.
Still gonna be still gonna be a good points day for Benefiel in the number 83 car, but at the same time, the win would be preferred, and I'm not sure if it's going to come up his way with 14 laps to go in this race. You can see the flames shooting out of the sides of these race cars. They're slow. Do we have a yellow on the track? They're actually, no, they're still running at full speed, so we are still good to go as it stands presently. My brain affected me how you said that I may be trying to summon a yellow, but no, it just looked like they were rather slow. That shows you how much these cars have slowed down in this stint. They're running about a second and a half slower than some of these drivers' best laps of the race. I'll take your race leader of the number 15 of Robert Miller, for instance. His best lap of the race was a 30.3, last time by a 31.898. So these cars are really struggling for grip.
But he doesn't need to struggle for grip for that much longer. Approaching 11 to go, and certainly with no threat from a rear gunner, he can now just afford to just take it easy and profit from all of the, quite possibly, the saving he's been doing throughout the race. He's been fast and he's been feisty, but there's still something in him which is just substantially faster than those around. And while Williams has made a tiny, tiny inroad, he needs to be going consistently faster to be in a real chance right now with these few laps to go. A real surprising comeback story for Williams, though. He's been another one of those cars that you've just sort of seen around the top 10. You've seen those green highlights, and you thought, yeah, that sure is a car. But none of us have rated him as a potential race winner. And here he is with potential odds to get this top 3 and score an absolute mother load of points for it.
Yeah, this will be a fantastic points day for the driver, the number 5. Not sure if he will have enough to get that win just based off the gap to himself and Miller now 1 1/4 seconds. So really don't think it's going to be... Oh boy, worst time to get the hiccups on the air. But I really don't think that Williams is going to have that speed to catch up to Miller. He's still pulling away in the number 15 car. Would probably have to hope for a yellow between now and the checkered flag. 9 laps left to go in this race. It's getting to crunch time. These drivers looking to pick off as many moves as they can right towards the very end of this race. You can still see a car with damage a little bit farther in the back. Not sure who that is, missing a hood coming down the back straightaway. So clearly overheating not being a problem for them, but I think there's some other rather big difficulties for that driver. Scraping the wall yet again. We see the 71 and the 68 running nose to tail. Hunter Troll in that number 71 car still holding on to the lead of the Dash for Cash competitors. P5 for now as the 68 looking to get a move done on the inside, heading off through 1 and 2. But would have to be a pretty big rally from Shoefield, who is about 2 seconds behind Truel, to be able to get that Dash for Cash win. Looking good for the 71 car.
See, I made the call last time post-race of who was going to be eligible for Dash for Cash horrifically wrong last week. And I told a driver in the interview incorrectly, and I'm never going to forgive myself for that one. But, you know, Truel is one of the full-time drivers that's eligible. He could win this, and then he can be in with the odds of possibly doing it again if he can just make up a couple of places. And we'll have that unofficial Dash for Cash list at the end of the race as well, so you know who's competing for the honours next week. This top 3 looks like they're pretty much locked in unless there's a horrible incident that changes this and ruins somebody's day. Well, what? I feel like Marty set me up. I set commentators up all the time, so it's okay. Marty can set me up in the same way. I'm embarrassed, and I think now I'm just gonna go. This will be my last sim race broadcast. So you know what, Ron? Have fun for the last 6 laps. I'm just gonna get out of here.
If anyone would like Marty's job here at Maconi Entertainment, why not write to it? We're going to take a look at this. The 33 car had a big moment coming out of turn number 1 and 2. Snap one way, start to snap the other way, and then on the third snap, bang, into that inside wall. And you can see the motor blew up with it. So that is a big moment for the 33. That, I believe, unless I'm very much mistaken, will set us up for one restart left in this race, left in regulation, I should say, but that's a big moment nonetheless. For Miller in the 15 car, this is going to be a big kick in the shins. You found yourself good. You found yourself in a fantastic spot. He was holding on to the race lead by coming up to a 2.5 seconds. Now he's got one more restart, and I think at the very most, it will be about 3 laps left to go when we get this up and rolling. But will we see these drivers come into the pits as well? These tires are feeling old. Is it even worth it at this point with 2 laps left to go? Overtaking seems to be a little bit easier, but at the same time, that's still a pretty big gamble to make here, Howie.
Yeah, indeed, I've decided to return to my duties because I felt for Ron in the moment. That's actually a really hard question because you can make up places, but can you make up enough? I think if someone up front bites and someone near the front will bite, then everyone behind them is going to cascade because the upside is tremendous. I think the tires are so old at this point, end of a run level stuff, that it's worth doing. It's worth going for. Drivers probably haven't run out of their allocation this week. Sometimes they do, but many of them are going to be running kind of safe in the noise. They haven't had to stop too many times this race. That weaving from Miller makes me think that he's interested in staking it on the track. But when you're the driver in front, it's always the most nerve-wracking decision to make because you don't get to react to anyone. In fact, people are probably going to react to you. Putting all of your race calling and race prediction and race strategy skills on test for one critical moment. It would be heartbreaking to lose this race to a strategy call. So Miller is going to have to think about this one very, very carefully. Pit lane should be open, and I will just leave this in the hands of the drivers, I think.
Yeah, after that jinx, I'm not going to jinx anyone myself, so I'm going to just leave this be. Leave it to these drivers. 4 laps left in this 203 lap long race. And what a race it has been up to this point. Some fantastic battling through the field. These drivers have been battling tooth and nail from the drop of the green flag all the way through to the upcoming fall of the checkered. They stay out here, Howie, so this is going to be a battle of drivers on tires ready for the scrap heap. Frankly, these tires should be turned into the bottoms of carpets at the end of all this.
Donate some for me, quite frankly. I'll make them into a nice coffee table or something. Stick one on the rim. You got it done. Everyone's staying out on these old tires. I think no one wanted to be the one that blinked. They're all deciding that it's just a little bit too hard to pass to make that sort of gamble worth it. So for Miller, he's going to have to just stick out the way he has and make the runaway like he has. He's been the king of these tires all throughout this race, so he may be able to pull it off. For Williams and Benefield, this is their chance to steal a win that felt impossible. I think we are going to have a green-white checkered when we come around. A natural one, very possibly, but just a couple laps to determine the end of this race, and we might even get to do it again if we're so unlucky.
If we do have another yellow coming out at the end of this race, keyword being if, I have a feeling we're going to make it to the end. There's just a hunch. I think these drivers know the challenges, know the difficulties. They know that their cars are going to be driving around like a scoop of lard on a hot frying pan, so it's not going to be good. It's not going to be a good car that these drivers have at the very end of it. That pace car coming down pit lane for one final time, potentially. The green flag back at the drivers on their way. The 15 of Miller getting off to a flyer of a restart. Benefield, though, slotting into P2. He's been good on those short to medium runs. Will he be able to mount a challenge towards the end of this race? And look at the 05 of Williams. Maybe going to try and pick up some places as well. Some drivers 4 wide down the back straightaway, bumping the wall as well, but they head their way off into 3 and 4 for the second to last time in this race. Miller leading in front of Benefield. That white flag going to be in the air. Benefield with a big wall scrape as they come to blows right behind. They've taken the white flag, but Miller is still leading this race. Benefield, look at that. Holy cow, I think someone may have flipped it potentially. Either way, though, it was Miller leading this field. He's still leading this field. They're under green. The yellow has not been brought out. Benefield's made up that time that he lost coming out of this series of corners only 1 lap ago, but I don't think he's going to be close enough. Miller coming out of the final corner after a ballsy strategy call in stage 2 is going to win it at the end of 203 laps. Miller wins it at Texas.
From P16 to start to up front throughout, Miller's had a spectacular race and he's absolutely earned the right to have that win. He really needed to stave off some challenges in the final phase, but I knew that was going to work out for him based on what he'd seen earlier. So, a spectacular race and a spectacular finish. I should probably never disrespect Texas ever again. Here's the big one. It's going to be almost impossible to tell who started it, but that's the number 10 down onto the infield, losing out. Going to kind of try and get as many views of this as we can until we piece together the truth here. The 96 is the first car that goes around, probably ran into from behind to make that happen, and then there's your upside down car. Not quite upside down, but he does make it onto his side. That's the 06. Well, I mean, we love ending Friday Night Lights on explosive finishes. This isn't the first time we've been witness to a big wreck at the finishes. It's that I told you about that quad over on this track and how evil it is. Told you about a million laps ago, and it did that.
Holy cow. That hit from Matthew Boston Wheeler. We nearly had our second flipper of the day. Let's look at Kirk Mills in the 69 nice car, heading his way off through the trial involved in this incident. Oh, he got so close to avoiding it all. You could see that 06 of Matthew Boston Wheeler. Oh, that was a big hit for Mills as well. Hit at the worst possible spot on that inside barrier. And we're going to take a look at one more angle of this. This is with Mark Paget in the 02. Touched the 96. I think he made more contact, hits the outside wall. It's a 69 of Mills. And that was the tap that sent Mills into the wall. Paget nearly went straight into the tire barriers on the infield. Holy cow.
Nothing quite like the big one. We'll recap the end of this race after a very short break. What a thrill ride of a race.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need, Maconi.
With the launch of Maconi Entertainment and Maconi Competizone alongside Maconi Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at MaconiSetupShop.com/subscriptions.
And remember, at Maconi Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
As we see the smoke go up in the air for the driver of the number 15 car. He won it in stage 2 and he wins it at the end of 203 laps. Robert Miller gets his first win of this season. The driver of the 15 Mustang made his way up 15 spots from the drop of the green flag through to the fall of the checkered, but he holds on for the race win. He finishes right in front of Adam Benefiel, who gave it a challenge, gave it a whirl, but he's unable to get his 3rd win of the season in the 83. John Williams rounds out your top 3 after a pretty good rally right towards the end of this race. It's Lucas Hoytsma finishing in P4, Joseph McCorder in 5th, Hunter Truel finishes in P6, we have Eddie Rose in 7th, Jim Shoefield in P8, Noah Woods in P9, Ralph Hutchinson rounds at your top 10, and finishing right behind him, we have the likes of Eric Wineland in P11, Cody Goza in P12, Rory Collins in 13th, Michael Deitch in P14, Stephen Benjamin finishes in P15, we have Dave Hoytsma with a pretty nice drive at 16th, Brian Wortman finishes in 17th. Matt White, after winning the opening stage, finishes a little bit farther back in P18, got involved in that last lap drama. Mark Paget and Kirk Mills were the other 2 involved in that incident, and they complete their top 20.
Further down behind a 40-car field, we begin in 21 with Jacob Simpson, Carlos Fonsa, Jeremy Clapper-Newell, Matthew Boston Wheeler, and Daniel Llewellyn. Ken Rahn finishes 26th with John K. Kelly in 27th and Michael Patrick in 28th. Plenty more to come here. Dylan Kritz, he was far up, but the wreck would send him out of the races. All drivers are retired at this point. Kyle Ammon, Mason Lowry, Cliff Mullins, Tanner Marty, Joe Rollins, Richard Kleiman, Ryan Strunk, Austin Eby, Tim Phillips, Aaron Jackson, and Jason S. Taylor not making the start. Makes a packed and exciting Texas race. Had a little bit of absolutely everything, but there can only really be one winner, and that was well earned.
And it absolutely was for Robert Miller, and credit where credit is due to our P4 finisher at the end of this race. Hunter Truel, despite dealing with a rather ill-handling car, still holds on to get a 2nd Dash for Cash win in a row and the $100 paycheck that comes along with it. But that's the action here from Texas, and we switch ahead to about 3 weeks from now when the series rocks up to Charlotte Motor Speedway for the next round of this series. Race number 13 at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on Maconi Entertainment. That will be 300 miles, 200 laps of racing action at Charlotte. Howie, that's going to be a fun one.
An all-time classic oval. Some would consider it the most classic in all of NASCAR. It's certainly a lot thinner than Texas, and it's a lot harder to keep your car out of the wall. Not quite a Coke 600 length. Xfinity runs a much shorter race, but still, it very much becomes an endurance challenge, and it's going to have a very different character of racing, but I do love it every time it shows up.
And that'll be another one of the Dash for Cash races, so fingers crossed that all of you tuning into this broadcast on Maconi Entertainment will be able to tune in to that on May the 23rd. But as for this broadcast today at Texas, I think that will just about do it. And so, for myself, Ron Mons, Howie Burrows joining me in the commentary booth, and Marty Zakala doing a wonderful job working on the cameras in the virtual production hauler, I'd say thank you all so very much for watching this coverage of the Friday Night Lights Xfinity Series at Texas, and we hope to see you all wherever it is in the not too distant future.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.